The mysterious helmet served as the key that opened the gates to another reality for the young man. The hero resolutely put on the gaming device, fully prepared for his first dive. The boy bravely faced the attack of a multi-armed demon, defending a village created for beginners. A young fighter crossed sharp swords with his opponent during a fierce, intense training session. The warrior froze, suddenly realizing the scale of the secret conspiracy of the enemies hanging over him. The hero saw this bloody trail, realizing the terrifying truth about the insidious enemies. When the wanderer woke up, he discovered the worried faces of two beautiful young maidens above him. The guy suddenly found himself at the mercy of the temptresses, realizing the complexity of his new position. The master resolutely lit the flaming blade, intending to overcome all difficulties with his strength. The brave young man attacked the monster with a powerful leap, dreaming of building his own world. The young man sat proudly on a luxurious throne, surrounded by two devoted, beautiful companions. Gamers were enthusiastically immersed in virtual worlds, using their powerful personal computers everywhere. The girl lazily rested on the bed, enjoying a delicious snack and her mobile phone. The helmet turned out to be that mysterious key that opened the gates to a completely different reality. The guy resolutely put on the device, preparing to change his destiny in virtual space forever. The endless green meadows of the mysterious and legendary underground kingdom of shadows opened up before my eyes. A powerful explosion shook the surrounding forest, marking the beginning of the hero's first serious test. The warrior with the wooden sword was frustrated by the uselessness of his equipment in this forest. The tiny spirit of poverty wept bitterly, holding the empty cup in its small hands. The young man's face was distorted with rage when he suddenly encountered a spirit on his path. The hero decisively activated a powerful scroll to instantly strengthen his old wooden blade. The enraged boy brought down a flaming sword on the spirit who dared to laugh so brazenly and daringly. With one precise blow, the swordsman cut his opponent in half, causing him to cry out in horror. The defeated spirit of poverty made pitiful excuses, trying to convince the victor of his complete innocence. The young man studied the system message, realizing the true value of the rare species of spirit he had destroyed. The system issued a mocking title that promised the hero a permanent loss of gold after each kill. The boy loudly protested against the ridiculous title, not understanding the reasons for such a cruel punishment. A sudden whirlwind of fire enveloped the fighter, delivering a crushing blow from an ambush in the middle of the forest. The hero cried out in surprise, realizing that he had become the victim of a sneaky attack. Mysterious shadows emerged from the depths of the forest, eager to quickly take the prey from the newcomer. The happy young man admired the amethyst he had mined, counting the gold coins remaining after purchasing the spell. The hero looked back anxiously, clutching his honestly earned treasures tightly in his hands. The group of brutal player killers advanced confidently, discussing their upcoming easy prey. The boy watched his enemies with fear, realizing the enormous danger of meeting professional killers. The arrogant pursuers greedily divided the reward, anticipating a quick reprisal against their defenseless victim. The agile fighter suddenly threw a smoke bomb, mockingly challenging the enemy's right to victory. The enraged enemy shouted a curse, watching the hero quickly flee through the thick smoke. The young man ran away with a heavy bag of gold, rejoicing at the success of his brilliant plan. A sudden, deadly beam of light pierced the fugitive's back, interrupting his joy of victory. The wounded hero looked at his blood in shock, not understanding the source of this attack. The one-eyed archer took aim with a calm expression, activating his deadly special skill, the magic heart arrow. The wounded hero gritted his teeth, suddenly realizing the superiority of the enemy who had unlocked his rare skill. A brute with a heavy spiked axe stood mercilessly over the body of the man defeated in battle. The muscular villain grinned predatorily, anticipating easy profit in the form of gold and amethyst. The soldier lay in a pool of blood, suffering excruciating pain from a fatal wound. The wanderer extended a weak hand towards the mysterious portal, trying to cling to his fleeting life. The hero remembered simple things, dreaming only of rest and ordinary food. Through the veil, the hero saw the familiar faces of the maidens, who tenderly greeted his awakening. The beautiful companions, with obvious relief, informed the gentleman that he had slept too long. The young man looked around in complete confusion, completely unable to understand where exactly he was. The girl in glasses timidly held up the mirror, hoping to please the gentleman with a new stylish hairstyle. The masked hero stared at his reflection in shock, not recognizing his own face. The boy screamed in horror, realizing the sudden change in appearance and the strangeness of the surroundings. The devoted maids bowed before the throne, solemnly welcoming the king into his majestic palace. The young man assumed that instead of exiting the game, he had accidentally been transported to the palace. The player was thrilled to realize his boss status, having gained unlimited power over this world. The maid obediently froze under the master's commanding gaze, anxiously awaiting his new orders. The king commanded his assistant to immediately get rid of all the excess clothing here. The guy was looking forward to the pleasure, rejoicing in the hidden possibilities of innovative technologies for his personal purposes. The gentleman carefully studied his companion's face, enjoying his absolute power in this reality. The fair-haired maiden respectfully informed the master about the arrival of powerful spirits from different countries. The masked player was looking forward to the sweet pleasures, completely forgetting about the important upcoming meeting. An overly active spirit has been discussing the data report since the launch of this game. The beauty convinced her master that her words were completely different from those of an NPC. The little blue demon loudly ordered everyone present to immediately stand before the great lord. The majestic lord of hell solemnly entered the hall under the admiring gaze of his loyal subjects. The master of the palace silently took his place of honor at the head of the negotiating table. The emperor's assistants who arrived stood tensely, sensing the incredibly strange and oppressive atmosphere of the meeting. The girl indignantly asked why only assistants had arrived for such an important meeting. The assistant of the Eastern Devil boldly justified himself, declaring that his great masters were overly busy. The Lord of Hell called everyone to order with authority, announcing the immediate start of the meeting. The spirits present at the table watched intently every movement of their great master. The red-skinned demon noted the strange calm of the ruler and decided to immediately warn his emperor. A bright blue hologram suddenly lit up right in the middle of a huge conference table. The system demonstrated millions of new players who had successfully penetrated this secret underworld. A special mechanism effectively absorbed the energy released whenever players were injured. Killed monsters were instantly revived in a mysterious well to participate in new games. The diagram clearly showed the distribution of users across 3 different layers of this dark underworld. The white-haired companion formally invited the representative of the Eastern Devil to report on the current complex situation. The horned assistant smiled slyly and invited the Lord of Hell to ask any questions he might have. All the participants of the important meeting stood tensely, awaiting the decisive word of their ruler. The red-skinned demon was drenched in cold sweat under the heavy and frightening silence of his master. The terrifying pressure of the Lord of Hell made the hearts of everyone present beat wildly. The young man inside his new body felt real horror from the power emanating around him. The demon suddenly realized the shocking truth about the reality of all monsters and game bosses. The gentleman's companion noted with alarm his strange fatigue in the midst of this important meeting. The horned assistant quickly took his leave, intending to immediately go to the Peach Valley to harvest. The Lord's question about the harm to the players' lives made the demon shudder violently. The palace owner coldly asked about the reasons for the strange oblivion of some users after the game. The frightened assistant desperately justified himself, calling himself just a pathetic pawn in a big game. The Lord's companion angrily scolded the demon for brazenly violating the order to collect energy. The enraged General of Destruction overturned the table with a crash, outraged by the insolent cry of an ordinary servant. The Lord of Hell's eyes blazed menacingly with a red flame, sensing the sudden looming mortal danger. The system displayed the characteristics of the general, who was already preparing his powerful, destructive punch. The young man enthusiastically noted his unique ability to see the weak points of even his companion. The white-haired maiden instantly found herself in a fierce battle with a huge and ferocious demon. With one swift movement, the warrior slammed the enemy into the table, causing a powerful shockwave. The companion leaned threateningly over her opponent, promising to kill him immediately for threatening the king. The Lord of Hell remained completely calm and officially announced the immediate closure of the meeting. The king resolutely left the hall, and his agitated companion hurried after him, asking for directions. The masked hero hesitantly inquired about his companion's plans for their upcoming evening stroll together. The blonde warrior insistently suggested that her tired master immediately take a hot, relaxing bath. The beautiful maidens splashed merrily in the spring while the system displayed their hidden characteristics. The confused young man analyzed strange digital indicators instead of the usual gaming characteristics of his companions. The companions respectfully escorted their great master into the luxurious hall for water procedures. The beauty gently persuaded the hero to have a good rest after long and extremely exhausting work. The frightened maids called loudly for their ruler when he suddenly made this jump. The astonished guy froze in front of the naked girl, wondering if this was a dream. A system notification officially confirmed the protagonist's immediate return to this virtual space. The younger brother was enthusiastically discussing with his friend the incredible popularity of a new and suspicious game. Brother Zhang Xiao furiously punched the hero for his dangerous, playful carelessness. The hero watched silently as doctors loaded his brother into the ambulance. The young man's brother was currently in a coma on a ventilator. The doctor broke the sad news to the sobbing mother while Xiao stood in the doorway. The exhausted youth remembered all his sleepless nights spent inside that ill-fated helmet. The boy clutched his helmet tightly, vowing to find out the truth about the accident at any cost. The young man put the device back on, passing through the shimmering portal back into the virtual world. Once in the village, the fighter realized that the game was just a trap for souls. An enraged Zhang Xiao clenched his fists, preparing to destroy all the enemies in this realm. The hero stepped forward decisively, leaving behind a flaming trail on the game ground. Zhang Xiao panicked when he realized that the system had not disconnected him after his character died. The mysterious stranger effectively jumped over the young man, demanding that he immediately get out of her way. The hero watched, fascinated, as the girl's magic boots left a glowing trail. The beauty irritably told a random passerby that he was only hindering her rapid movement. The magical shoes of speed glowed with a pink flame, granting their owner incredible speed and maneuverability. The players enviously discussed the girl's rare equipment, surprised by the presence of such expensive artifacts. Zhang Xiao checked his reference book and suddenly blushed, remembering the spicy details of the jump. The young man resolutely cast aside unnecessary thoughts, ordering himself to immediately focus on the current task. A stocky one-eyed savage blocked the road, menacingly waving his heavy spiked club. Zhang Xiao instantly destroyed the monster with a precise and devastating sword strike. Zhang Xiao decided to rush to Peach Valley to stop the dangerous enemy. The mighty General of Destruction planned to begin harvesting energy in just 3 days. The young man suggested that it was this harvest that was the true cause of his friend's coma. The hero tried to save his game progress in order to obtain valuable information in the future. A critical system error has blocked the exit, making it impossible to leave this virtual world. Zhang Xiao realized that the mysterious bug had completely disrupted the demon's insidious plans. The young man grinned in anticipation, finding a large-scale conspiracy against the world to be an extremely curious matter. A sudden, piercing female scream in the forest made the hero instantly become alert and turn around. A group of vile shadow monsters suddenly surrounded the same rich stranger. Zhang Xiao hid behind a tree, carefully observing the arrogant girl's difficulties. The stranger furiously attacked the slugs, unsuccessfully trying to break through their strange, viscous defense with her sword. A huge swamp demon of the 3rd level of strength suddenly rose from the stinking sludge. Zhang Xiao noted that the girl had clearly never encountered such invulnerable monsters before. The young man decided that saving the rich beauty would bring him an extremely lucrative reward. Vile shadow tentacles wrapped around the frightened heroine, depriving her of any opportunity to resist. The hero extracted a rare ice soul crystal, deciding to use the magical artifact in battle. Zhang Xiao rushed to the rescue of the captive, releasing the hidden power of his weapon. The girl screamed helplessly as the swamp creatures began to actively absorb her life energy. The Lord of Hell suddenly woke up in a luxurious bed after a deep and very long swoon. The worried companions surrounded the gentleman, sincerely rejoicing at his quick and miraculous return. The Lord of Hell inquired about the Emperor's visit, and learned that the high-ranking guests had already taken their leave. The enraged hero considered the sudden departure of the demons a daring rebellion against his unquestioned power. The worried companions suggested calling a doctor, noticing the strange forgetfulness of their great master. The ruler coldly ordered his subordinates to remain on their knees, resolutely leaving his luxurious chambers. Zhang Xiao felt strange changes in his body, suspecting the insidious machinations of his enemies. The young man swiftly attacked the vile shadow slugs, protecting the terrified girl from certain death. The magical ice crystal instantly froze the monsters, turning them into motionless blocks of ice. The hero stood confidently among the ice shards, demonstrating his increased combat power to his opponents. Zhang Xiao completed the attack with a flourish, causing the rich beauty to freeze in genuine amazement. The young man noted with disappointment the artifact's short duration of action, when the ice spell suddenly dissipated. Zhang Xiao resolutely drew his wooden sword, preparing to courageously repel the attack of all the advancing enemies. The rich companion soared spectacularly into the sky, raising high in her hand a sparkling magical artifact. Enormous ice peaks instantly erupted from the ground, completely freezing all surrounding enemies. The beauty sighed with relief, realizing the colossal superiority of her very rare and expensive item. The hero shivered violently from the sudden cold, sincerely admiring the crushing power of the money invested in the game. The girl asked the young man with genuine interest about the main reasons for the effectiveness of ice attacks. The young man plunged his blade into the ice, mentioning useful books from the starting village itself. The charming heroine suddenly remembered that she herself had recently acquired this important printed manual. The companion asked Zhang Xiao about the ideal place to track down really large groups of monsters. The young man honestly admitted that he had only briefly examined the product during the NPC's promotional demonstration. Zhang Xiao tapped his forehead, claiming his ability to remember everything instantly. The rich beauty froze in amazement, sincerely admiring the incredible and crushing coolness of her savior. The young man hurried away, advising the girl to finish leveling up quickly and not waste equipment. The hero grinned smugly when his companion suddenly suggested that they finally join forces. The girl admitted that she was stuck there for 3 days and asked to be taken in. Zhang Xiao did not want to take on the burden, and mercantilely inquired about future payment for services. The beauty poured out a mountain of rare items in front of him, purchased in the starting village itself. The heroine grabbed the young man's hand, pitifully begging her dear brother to take her quickly. The angry girl cursed the boor in her thoughts, outraged by his extremely provocative and insolent behavior. The companion suspiciously asked whether this hero was simply a hairy man. The ground shook as the icy arena beneath the hero's feet began to rapidly crack. A huge red pillar of light pierced the sky, causing the frightened birds to immediately take flight. The young man smiled confidently, anticipating the beginning of the most interesting stage of his daring plan. Zhang Xiao grabbed his companion's hand, ordering her to quickly follow him. The hero remembered an elite dungeon located very close to this starting village. The rich beauty rushed forward, deciding to courageously accept the challenge and fight. A group of adventurers reached the entrance to the legendary cave, hoping to quickly clear out the entire dungeon. The treacherous banana peels flew towards the enemies as they stared at the portal in fascination. The opponents fell to the ground, losing health points from collisions with the treacherous skins. The heroes successfully escaped, having treacherously used a secret weapon made of bananas against their pursuers. The red portal closed with a bang, finally cutting the heroes off from the outside world. The enraged leader of the pursuers slammed his fist into the cold ground in impotent rage. The cunning player in glasses maliciously suggested setting up an ambush right at the exit. The mocking guy made fun of his crying comrade, who had not read the detailed guidebook at all. The magic map revealed 5 unique dungeons hidden in the vicinity of the starting village. The system warned of the dangers of the Lucky Zone, where monsters were selected randomly. The enemy group discussed the importance of teamwork to overcome this difficult challenge. Zhang Xiao and his companion froze in the digital space beneath the shimmering portal. A gigantic golden knight appeared before the heroes, striking the girl with its incredible level. The rich beauty praised the design while the young man hid the truth about the real demons. Zhang Xiao suggested splitting the experience in half, telling his companion to support him from behind. The hero glided forward quickly, ordering the rich beauty to focus on his clear instructions. The young man drew a flaming sword, capable of inflicting colossal damage on monsters of the gold element. Zhang Xiao leaped high, unleashing a single devastating fire strike on the golden knight. The warrior sincerely admired the power of the new blade, which turned out to be much better than his old sword. A huge and ferocious lizard, possessing a rare earth attribute, suddenly emerged from the digital space. Zhang Xiao clenched his teeth in tension as he realized the incredibly high and dangerous speed of his new opponent. The frightened girl tried to dodge as the mysterious red spheres flew swiftly past her. The huge beast growled furiously, trying to reach the young man with its incredibly massive and clawed paws. A powerful magical vine enveloped the ground, dealing massive additional damage to enemies with the earth element. The magical fetters bound the lizard, allowing him to successfully complete the second part of the dangerous dungeon. The young man stood tensely, trying to anticipate the appearance of the last and most formidable enemy. Zhang Xiao tightly gripped the long ice sword, which emitted a cold and bright radiance. A beautiful water maiden with an incredibly high level of power appeared in the center of the hall. The young man instantly found himself in icy captivity, which caused extreme displeasure in his companion. The majestic water maiden hovered impassively above the hero, demonstrating the power of her cold element. The golden armor shone brightly, granting the warrior reliable protection from any water attacks. The crushing blow of the armored fist hit its target, causing a bright flash of energy. The enemy, surrounded by magical sparks, let out a strange scream as the hero delivered his final blow. The ghost skull solemnly congratulated the surviving players on successfully completing the difficult test. A bright flash of light enveloped Zhang Xiao, signaling that he had received a huge amount of bonus experience. The girl joyfully watched as her body was filled with pure energy of a new level. The young man chose a blade while his companion gazed in fascination at the rare phoenix crown. Zhang Xiao warned the rich woman that the dungeon's artifacts could not be purchased with money. The beauty touched the interface with concentration, deciding to immediately improve her basic characteristics. The companion was surprised by Zhang Xiao's decision to invest all his spare points into courage. The hero tiredly covered his face with his hand, beginning to patiently explain the mechanics of leveling up. The system detailed the parameters of courage and determination required for each warrior. The magic diagram clearly demonstrated the influence of aura on critical damage and resistance. The illustration showed how agility is critical for swift assassins and archers. The system revealed the Guardian's stats, highlighting his incredible endurance. Zhang Xiao learned the mechanics of leveling up charm and obtaining souls. The young man explained the need for flexible leveling to protect against archers. The companion became completely confused in her calculations, entrusting the choice to her ally. Zhang Xiao concentrated on distributing his spare points to enhance his power. Zhang Xiao looked at his updated status and funny title with satisfaction. The blue-haired companion boasted of her superior parameters, despite her level. The heroes quickly moved forward, intending to reach their goal as quickly as possible. Magical vines suddenly bound the partners' legs, stopping their run. Two armed opponents treacherously attacked the heroes from a sudden ambush. Zhang Xiao drew his blade in lightning speed to repel the enemy's attack. The heroes scattered the attackers in different directions with one crushing blow. The companion watched in amazement at the incredible power of the updated weapon. The defeated enemies were horrified to see their blades cut in two. The bandits realized that the heroes had become significantly stronger in the dungeon. The frightened savage, in tears, called on the allied mage to protect them. The cowardly ally abandoned his comrades and shamefully fled. Zhang Xiao resolutely prepared to finally punish the impudent robbers. Realizing their inevitable defeat, the attackers panicked and tried to escape. The lord rushed in pursuit, not wanting to let go of his cowardly opponents. Zhang Xiao suggested that his companion choose their common path herself. The girl shyly chose to remain in their reliable duo. The hero warmed up before the long walk to the flowering valley. The young man slowed down, urging his partner not to fall behind any longer. Magical ribbons enveloped the girl as she changed her appearance. The fabric hugged her waist tightly, emphasizing the boldness of her new look. Leather accessories completed the seductive and dangerous outfit. The companion posed effectively, demonstrating the complete transformation of her appearance. Zhang Xiao stood there dumbfounded, unable to look away. The beauty coquettishly asked if she had captivated him with her beauty. The hero skeptically questioned his companion about her choice of such a revealing outfit. Zhang Xiao criticized the impracticality of the suit, causing the beauty to become furious. The young man assumed that his companion was angry because of his failed attempt at seduction. The lord mentally compared his assistant with the beautiful maidens he had seen before. The couple climbed the cliff, discussing rumors about rare items. The heroes finally reached the place, completing the grueling climb. A magnificent view of a blooming valley opened up before the partners' eyes. Zhang Xiao suddenly sat down to rest, ignoring his companion's sharp displeasure. The guy explained the need for caution due to the presence of high-level players. The swordsman complained about the poor equipment and the lack of shops nearby. The companion found the store on the map, catching her partner in a lie. The girl discovered the stall, causing Zhang Xiao to grin contentedly. The couple met a skinny merchant in the shadows of a dense forest. The skeleton opened the doors hospitably, showing off his wares to the guests. The heroes appreciated the assortment of magical masks and scrolls. The beauty was outraged by the exorbitant prices, demanding fair trade. The companion threatened to beat the skeleton for his impudent taunts. The account balance left Zhang Xiao in complete shock. The system notified players about the start of a new combat event. The crowd froze in anticipation of the enemy, suspecting a systemic deception. A sudden earthquake caused the players to look around anxiously. The fearsome demon general emerged from the ground in a green flame. The warriors, thirsty for a reward, recklessly rushed to attack the giant. The boss's devastating shockwave instantly scattered the attackers. Players' health bars were reset after being hit once. The survivors realized the terrifying difference in power with this monster. The demon mercilessly trampled the fallen enemies, proclaiming their death sentence. A hail of enemy arrows and magic crashed powerlessly against the giant's back. Panicked commanders urged their fighters to use only long-range attacks. The general's massive axe cut through the air, finally crushing all resistance. The frightened girl trembled from the realization of the incredible power of the enemy. The players panicked and announced a tactical retreat from the danger zone. The demon general crushed the earth, preventing his enemies from escaping in disgrace. A powerful blast wave threw the defenseless girl far back. The defeated warriors were horrified by the loss of almost all their health. The monster enveloped itself in ominous flames, preparing the final, fatal blow. The demon froze in confusion, noticing the strange sphere under his feet. A sudden icy captivity instantly froze the mighty giant's movements. The companion, in desperation, called on the allies to flee immediately. The blue-haired warrior examined the frozen boss and the collected trophies. The demon easily shattered his icy captivity with a powerful jerk. Gold coins rained down on the stunned general of destruction. The gold-equipped player quickly attacked the boss from the sky. The glittering blade pierced the giant's chest with a column of blinding light. Shocked witnesses watched the actions of the mysterious rich man with rapture. The Golden King showed everyone his incredibly expensive equipment. The masked warrior was convinced of the reality of his formidable opponent. The angry boss fled in panic, cursing the ambush set up by the heroes. The swordsman resolutely raised his flaming sword for the finishing attack. A cascade of magical lightning fell upon the demon, leaving no chance. The swordsman in golden armor unleashed a rapid series of crushing combo blows on the giant. Shocked spectators loudly discussed the use of high-ranking techniques by an ordinary newbie player. The 10th magical attack combination caused the General of Destruction to literally shudder in pain. Zhang Xiao appreciated the rare blade's power and decided to completely exhaust its combat resources. The demon grinned ominously, showing his readiness to continue this protracted fight. The crowd despaired when they noticed the magical block symbol on the boss's health bar. The general's crushing blow sent the hero flying, followed by a mocking question about the fun of battle. The enraged enemy released a stream of green energy that instantly tore apart the ground in front of the warrior. Eyewitnesses admired the quality of the armor, which absorbed almost the entire force of a direct hit. The swordsman dropped heavily to one knee. Recognizing that the fight was taking an extremely dangerous turn, the hero noticed a vulnerability in the demon's knees for a blow. The warrior rushed forward, aiming straight at the enemy's weak spot. The demon prepared a crushing move, anticipating an easy victory over his opponent. The young man gritted his teeth, realizing the critical level of his health. The hero waited for the cooldown of a powerful skill to perform a lunge. The villain mockingly announced the imminent death of his impudent opponent. The witnesses screamed in horror, calling on the warrior to flee immediately. The swordsman concentrated, counting down the last seconds until the abilities recharge. The monster became enraged when he realized his enemy's sudden change in tactics. The lord closed the distance with lightning speed, ignoring the demon's threatening cries. The warrior in gold activated his dash, rapidly closing the distance. The general prepared to strike after the skill's cooldown ended. The demon was taken aback, struck by the sudden and sharp acceleration of his opponent. Zhang Xiao appreciated the blade's bonus, which doubled his movement speed. The crowd of witnesses enthusiastically celebrated the hero's triumph over the formidable enemy. The vanishing demon vowed to return for the head of his offender. The young man breathed heavily, realizing the high price of this fleeting victory. The hero became alarmed, fearing that his true identity would be revealed to the players. Zhang Xiao firmly grabbed his companion, urging her to leave immediately. The partners quickly disappeared, avoiding unnecessary attention from other players. The golden warrior ordered his companion to find a place to kill him. The girl was indignant, flatly refusing to harm her ally. Zhang Xiao gave out a phone number for contact in real life. The young man handed over the sword, meekly awaiting the inevitable blow. Blood stained the ground after his partner's fatal attack. The precious blade was left lying in the dust on the battlefield. The blue-haired companion watched in horror as the hero disappeared. Zhang Xiao felt unbearable pain from the theft of energy. The Lord of Hell appeared surrounded by ghostly blue flames. The demonic hand in chains marked the return of the king. The Lord of Hell impatiently demanded that his assistant quickly take him to the Well of Reincarnation. The embarrassed white-haired maiden timidly asked him not to speak in such a tone. She was puzzled why the Lord suddenly apologized and showed uncharacteristic friendliness. Suddenly the Lord felt a strong dizziness, lost in strange visions of ghostly flowers. The girl froze in shock, blushing deeply and barely holding back tears from the unexpected closeness. The Lord collapsed forward, exhausted, burying his face right into the ample bosom of his assistant. The girl comically waved her arms in panic as he got stuck in her cleavage. Having regained his energy, the Lord grabbed her hand and resolutely pulled her forward. He helped the astonished assistant to her feet and dryly apologized for the inconvenience. The hero complained of dizziness, while his worried assistant worried about his sudden fainting. The unconscious Lord of Hell suddenly woke up among the mysterious petals of a floating sakura. The devoted assistant, with tears in her eyes, leaned over her master in fear. When the hero woke up, he found himself lying on the lap of a deeply shocked white-haired maiden. In an awkward fall, Zhang Xiao accidentally bumped his face into his companion's ample breasts. Rising quickly, the Lord helped his assistant to stand up and dryly apologized. The very embarrassed girl timidly asked the gentleman to never apologize to her again. Zhang Xiao complained of dizziness while his companion explained the reason for his fainting. The Lord imperiously demanded that the path to the treasured well of reincarnation be immediately shown. Having learned the location of the well, the hero ordered his assistant to immediately take him to the palace. The assistant was amazed by the unusual kindness of the gentleman, who personally helped her up. The enraged General of Destruction looked back furiously at his pursuers, not wanting to retreat shamefully. With a powerful blow, the Overlord instantly cut the huge water dragon into two parts. The stunned demon greedily gasped for air, finding himself in the icy depths of the sea. Zhang Xiao stood majestically before the enemy, ordering his assistant to keep her distance. The general was horrified and perplexed as to how the youth had been able to destroy the monster so easily. The ruler asked with a grin where his defeated enemy was rushing to in such a hurry. The hero imperiously demanded that the general confess who exactly was behind the uprising. The overlord smiled ominously, accusing the demon of being insolent towards the Phantom Emperor. The demon grinned slyly and mentioned that someone had intentionally leaked important information. The devoted companion furiously shouted at the general for his impudent suspicions of the master. The ruler dryly refused to argue and hastily left the battlefield. The hero decided to use a supposedly invisible weapon to attack. A huge ghost sickle suddenly appeared in Zhang Xiao's hands. The colossal size of the scythe comically contradicted the idea of a hidden strike. The defeated demon was horrified by the sight of the legendary weapon from the arsenal. Zhang Xiao cold-bloodedly wanted to test the power of the sickle on the enemy. The sharp blade instantly pierced the rebel general's thick armor. The mystical scythe began to draw life energy from the body. The dying enemy unsuccessfully threatened the hero with the revenge of the Phantom Emperor. The Lord ominously promised to close the demon's path to reincarnation forever. The general, in horror, begged the Phantom Emperor to save his life. Deadly ribbons of energy immobilized the fallen rebel demon. The bright magic mercilessly squeezed the throat of the weakening general of destruction. The demon, in agony, realized the inevitability of his imminent death. The Lord of Hell coldly completed the execution of the traitor with a powerful blow. Zhang Xiao watched his assistant's decisive actions with a puzzled expression. The white-haired maiden majestically used her power to destroy the enemy. The assistant timidly asked to be punished for her excessive zeal. The companion beamed with happiness after her master's unexpected praise. The hero decided to gather information while hiding his true identity. The bishop ordered his assistant to wait for him outside the building. The hero began to search for secret information within the system. Zhang Xiao set out to become a truly invincible boss. The companion was perplexed by the sudden execution of the demon general. The girl decided that the gentleman protected her from attack. The assistant became embarrassed, feeling her own importance to the ruler. Zhang Xiao admired the thoughtful design of this game. He discovered an Easter egg to get double experience. The hero carefully studied the records about the Phantom Wave. The ruler was horrified by the Emperor's plan to absorb the energy of people. The Lord learned the exact time of the start of the crushing attack on the players. Removing the protective barrier threatened all users with death in reality. The assistant wondered what terrible plans her stern master had in mind. Zhang Xiao once again felt the familiar malaise and strange weakness. The companion froze in fear, noticing the sharp deterioration in her master's condition. The worried maiden timidly called out to the master, trying to attract his attention. The Lord suddenly collapsed to the floor, shocking his assistant with his fall. The companion, in a panic, assumed that her ruler had lost consciousness again. Coming to his senses, Zhang Xiao abruptly pushed away the caring maiden's hand. The hero furiously asked who allowed the assistant to touch him. The assistant bitterly regretted her recent insolence. The girl begged the master to punish her for her self-confidence. Zhang Xiao carefully studied the plan of the upcoming ghost wave. The Lord froze, completely immersed in dark thoughts. The hero was suddenly thrown out of the majestic body of the Lord. Zhang Xiao angrily touched the system message screen. The young man realized that this bug would help him level up. The hero looked resolutely at the top of Eagle Rock. Zhang Xiao drew his sword, waiting for the storm to begin. The monsters that appeared scared all the players to death. A powerful explosion scattered a crowd of small monsters throughout the area. A flock of ghostly mandrills launched a furious frontal attack. The girl Mengmu put forward a huge Gatling gun. Zhang Xiao was horrified by the legality of the machine gun's appearance in the game. The incinerating beam instantly destroyed an entire horde of enraged monkeys. The shooter fought off the suddenly enraged monsters in a panic. The hero noticed how the ghosts had driven the machine gunner into a dead end. The system clearly demonstrated the importance of correct player positioning. Mengmu's poor tactics led him into a deadly trap. Zhang Xiao decided to persuade the rare marksman to join him. The hero greedily searched the backpack for rare artifacts. For the victory, the system awarded only gold coins. The young man was very upset by the lack of new equipment in the reward. Zhang Xiao quickly rushed off the cliff to rescue his ally. The girl screamed loudly, fighting off the ghosts pressing on her. A blinding flash of energy destroyed the entire flock of monsters at once. The hero intervened in time and announced her rescue. The rescued warrior enthusiastically acknowledged the awesomeness of her savior. Mengmu was shocked and perplexed by the sudden disappearance of her enemies. The ghost wave caused the monsters to resurrect almost instantly. Zhang Xiao grabbed his companion, telling her to hold on tightly. The hero's powerful leap scattered the flock of ghostly mandrills at once. The pair slid swiftly along the rope above the monsters' heads. The fugitives reached the summit safely, completely exhausting Mengmu. The amazed warrior asked about the magical method of his flight. The young man showed a regular cheap hook from a starter store. The girl admired the incredible foresight of her mysterious savior. Zhang Xiao modestly described himself as an extremely cautious person. The hero lied about mining ore, protecting the Lord's secret. Shocked, Mengmu asked to join the powerful master's team. The curious companion bombarded Zhang with questions about the secrets of accumulating points. The hero coolly distributed the available attribute points in the right proportion. Zhang Xiao decided to level up Yama to activate the exclusive skill. The system instantly alerted allies to the successful activation of Bloodlust. The young man only grinned excitedly, noticing the rapidly approaching threat. A disciplined squad of ghostly soldiers suddenly discovered the presence of uninvited guests. The ancient undead remained eerily calm, demonstrating the might of the Legion. A ghostly rider in shining armor led a furious attack on the enemy. The girl impatiently readied the machine gun, ignoring her partner's cautious advice. The companion unleashed a barrage of fire on the enemies, covering the cliff from above. His companion fired back with gusto while Zhang thought over his survival plan. A dense shower of enemy arrows almost completely covered the sky. Players were injured, losing a significant portion of their health. The appearance of ghostly archers significantly increased the furious onslaught of the undead. The enemies deployed massive catapults at the very foot of the mountain. The leader of the ghosts mockingly watched the hero's attempts to escape. The machine gun's range was no longer sufficient to hit distant targets. The undead army began a siege, completely surrounding the heroes in a ring. Huge catapult projectiles flew rapidly towards the players' positions. Zhang decisively grabbed his partner and hurried to immediately change his position. Zhang Xiao sent a powerful blow that brought down the slope onto his pursuers. The young man hugged his companion tightly and jumped into the abyss. Zhang Xiao announced the imminent summoning of the legendary blade. The swordsman summoned Swiftblade and told his partner to hold on. The enraged ghostly general rode off in pursuit. The hero made a swift dash through the ranks of enemies. Zhang Xiao received the title for his daring assassination of a general. The companion admiringly noted the incredible coolness of her savior. The defeated enemy suddenly came to life, frightening the emotional partner. Zhang Xiao cheerfully carried his friend away from the angry ghost. The fugitives quickly disappeared into the thick of the dark, frightening forest. Zhang Xiao calmly suggested to his companion that they immediately clear out the dangerous dungeon. The girl was horrified by the crazy idea of attacking the mighty Earth Dragon right now. The young man was eagerly anticipating the enormous experience he would gain from the night foray. The partner was amazed by the hero's logic, calling him a truly legendary player. The guy's body suddenly began to glow, causing genuine bewilderment in his companion. A beautiful warrior with a sword swooped down towards them straight from the sky. The mysterious maiden joyfully embraced Zhang, having managed to use a rare teleportation scroll. Zhang Xiao was very surprised by the sudden appearance of a user on the closed network. The stately warrior in blue robes resolutely prepared for the coming battle. The blue-haired assassin attacked Zhang, striking out with showers of sparks from her sharp blades. The girl deftly stepped back, calling the moment inappropriate for battle. The warrior gracefully swung her blades, preparing to deliver another decisive blow. Zhang Xiao froze in fear when he discovered dynamite under his feet. A deafening explosion shook the forest, completely engulfing the figure of the protagonist. The system has revealed the characteristics of the 8th-level assassin Lin Yuning. The girls looked for Zhang in confusion, not understanding the reason for his disappearance. The young man suddenly appeared from behind, ordering the assassin to immediately and completely calm down. The companions were amazed at the speed of the hero, who used a rare magical shimmering amulet. Zhang Xiao threatened the assassin with death if he tried to move. The astonished assassin blushed deeply, unable to recognize the strange shape of the blade. The girl trembled violently and loudly cursed the hero for the absurd situation. Zhang Xiao was stunned, suddenly realizing the awkwardness of what had happened with the sword. The angry warrior quickly retreated, showering the enemy with a rain of sharp daggers. The hero angrily ordered his frozen companions to immediately help him in the battle. The partner frantically searched her inventory for a way to safely subdue the captive warrior. The companion excitedly activated the special capture mode of her powerful gun. Zhang Xiao happily approved of the nimble assassin's capture in the pink net. The girl mockingly advised the captive to stop resisting for her own good. The young man was stunned by the sudden and extremely daring statement. Zhang Xiao awkwardly pinned the assassin to the ground, defying censorship. The embarrassed warrior furiously demanded that she be released from the grip immediately. The hero made excuses while the girl felt the touch of the hilt of his sword. Zhang Xiao resolutely demanded to make way for the entrance of the dungeon. Lin Yuning spoke sadly about the death of her entire team. The young man explained to the assassin the fatal changes in the rules of the Phantom Wave. The warrior realized the truth and stopped hindering the squad's advance. Zhang Xiao suddenly suggested that the girl join forces to clear the location. The assassin acknowledged the hero's superiority despite his bad character. The girl agreed to the alliance, forbidding anyone to look for her after the raid. The companion coldly pointed out to the hero his excessive pride. The girl confidently emphasized her importance to Zhang Xiao. Assassin Len Yuning ordered the dungeon to be cleared immediately. The partner expressed dissatisfaction with the provocative behavior of her new ally. The girl resolutely headed deeper into the cave to complete the mission. Zhang Xiao humbly listened to Meng Mu's complaints about the assassin. The group reached the Earth Dragon's shimmering source in the dungeon. The young man clarified the details of the connection with reality in the deep cave. The companion reported that doctors would soon be called in reality. Zhang was concerned about his nutrition during the dive. Zhang Xiao was horrified by the news that he had gained 30 kilograms of excess weight. The group finally reached the shimmering magical entrance to the secret, dangerous location. The assassin commanded her allies to obey her commands without question for the sake of victory. The young man was offended and sulking at his companions because of their mocking jokes about his figure. The squad resolutely stepped into the huge portal towards the unknown dangers of the dungeon. Len Yuning winced at the stench of blood coming from the depths of the cave. From the pitch darkness, furious, burning eyes stared at the uninvited guests. The companion screamed in horror, discovering the presence of the legendary monster very close. The system instantly revealed the gigantic creature's terrifying characteristics and deadly skills. The lizard let out a deafening roar, illuminating the cave with a flash of bright, poisonous light. The group narrowly avoided a powerful eruption of flame from the Earth Dragon. The partner realized in despair that the monster's scales were too strong. Assassin Len Yuning commanded to attack the lizard's unprotected belly. The blue-haired warrior resolutely prepared to strike in the back. The companion with the machine gun eagerly rushed forward to distract the enemy. Zhang Xiao became suspicious after analyzing the group's past failures. The squad attacked in a coordinated manner while the lizard rapidly closed the distance. The ancient monster grinned angrily, remembering the circumstances of his death. The young man screamed in horror, ordering his allies to retreat immediately. The girls froze in shock, realizing the cunning beast's insidious trap. The Earth Dragon unleashed a powerful blast of poisonous energy at the heroes. Meng Mu was horrified by the incredible speed of the ancient monster's attacks. The heroes barely managed to dodge the deadly breath of the enraged beast. The companions collided, trying to escape the dragon's swift attack. Meng Mu, in her cat form, caught the heroes at an awkward moment. Zhang Xiu received a crushing blow to the face from his angry partner. The girls viciously beat the young man for his suspicious thoughts. Assassin Len Yuning gave the hero an extremely stern look. The warrior landed gracefully, clutching her sharp blades tightly. The enormous Earth Dragon bared its teeth furiously, preparing for a new round. The lizard summoned sharp stone spikes from the ground. The heroes dodged the monster's sudden attack in horror. The sharp stakes badly damaged the beautiful assassin's clothes. Len Yuning lost her health after the lizard's treacherous attack. The wounded warrior was amazed by the new strength of the ancient beast. The Earth Dragon quickly closed the distance for the decisive blow. Zhang Xiao cursed angrily as he wiped the blood from his face. The enraged monster belched out a new stream of poisonous flame. A deafening explosion of magical energy shook the entire dungeon. Len Yuning looked resolutely at the enemy through the smoke. Dressed in golden armor, Zhang Xiao demanded that Xiaolu immediately use thunder vines. The glittering fetters instantly bound the monster, while the faithful companion confirmed the precise execution of the order. The enraged monster easily tore apart the magical stems, causing genuine despair in his ally. The companions were horrified to realize the complete uselessness of their artifacts against such a high-level boss. The young man coolly calculated the enemy's pause, causing the white-haired assistant to doubt his tactics. Drawing a glowing blade, the warrior ordered the girls to step back and entrust the battle to him. The hero attacked decisively, ignoring the team's insistent calls to immediately leave the dangerous dungeon. As he leaped, Zhang Xiao triumphantly remembered the existence of a secret vulnerability in this beast. The Lord of Hell understood that the armored Earth Dragon would be an insurmountable obstacle for ordinary newcomers. While studying old records, the young man confirmed the presence of a secret Easter egg he had created in the code. The white-haired companion warned about the stone spikes and ordered the team to retreat immediately. Zhang Xiao dashed forward as the magical vines held the monster's head in place. The warrior calmly planted an explosive mine right under the jaw of a huge scaly dragon. The powerful charge threw the enemy back, opening access to his unprotected belly. A scarlet dot suddenly appeared on the monster's body, revealing its secret vulnerability. The young man quickly slid under the enemy, preparing to deliver the decisive blow with his blade. The hero struck the glowing mark with surgical precision, causing a powerful surge of energy. The warrior completed a complex maneuver and declared the boss's will completely suppressed. The comrades asked in surprise whether the point they had found was really the key to victory. Zhang Xiu explained the tactics of changing vulnerable areas by analyzing past tactical failures. The young man looked over the list of rare awards, planning a large-scale upgrade of his combat equipment. The companions were amazed at the instant increase in levels, although they hardly participated in the battle. A huge ghostly dragon appeared in the hall, marking the beginning of a new stage of the test. Zhang Xiao told the team to ignore the numbers and prepare for the next fight. The enemy began to apply powerful pressure, forcing the white-haired assistant to ask for immediate support. The hero looked at Xiaolu with concentration, giving the decisive order for a new attack. The blue-haired warrior bound the monster with vines, blocking its dangerous magical stone spikes. Zhang Xiao explained the tactic of undermining the belly to re-expose the beast's vulnerable point. The warrior made a graceful roll under the enemy, delivering a fatal blow straight to the target. Another dragon fell under the onslaught of force, ending the round and opening new horizons. The blue-haired warrior struck while the system congratulated the group on completing an important stage. The white-haired maiden furiously attacked the barrier, shouting insolent insults at the fallen enemy. The tiny companion fired the huge cannon with delight, enjoying the process of her easy victory. The girls were panicking and discussing the critical shortage of magic vines to begin the next battle. The comrades, in horror, called for immediate flight from the new enraged dragon of the dark dungeon. The young man solemnly demonstrated the huge mountains of rare, magical, valuable resources he had purchased in advance. The companions enthusiastically suggested repeating the successful tactics against yet another extremely dangerous enemy. The huge monster, with tears in his eyes, suddenly realized his imminent and quick death. The mysterious warriors in the forest discussed the goals of the Lord of Hell, doubting his true motives. Two stately maidens in white and black carefully analyzed the data of this mysterious man. Zheng Xiao showed arrogance as he reflected on the success of his very clever virtual adventure. The magic system loudly announced the end of the ghost wave and the complete stabilization of the mechanics. At the entrance to the dungeon, the heroes suddenly realized how incredibly quickly time had flown by. The companions admired the new levels with delight, enjoying an extremely productive and very profitable night. Exhausted by the long battle, the allies decided to leave the system to recuperate in reality. The loyal comrade said a warm farewell to the warrior, promising to be sure to get in touch in the evening. The thoughtful young man seriously considered the difficult necessity of revealing his true secret to the girls. The blue-haired assistant quickly disappeared into thin air, leaving the hero alone with his dark thoughts. Zhang Xiao immediately entered into deep meditation to quickly restore his magical energy. The hero's gaze was filled with extreme fatigue after the final completion of this extremely intense battle. Two deities in black and white robes silently appeared directly above the resting hero. The young man cautiously asked the uninvited guests the purpose of their sudden night visit. The black deity released its claws in a swift leap, trying to immediately strike down the warrior. The hero instantly recognized the attackers as the deities of impermanence, and deftly dodged the blow. The white maiden brought down her staff, praising the young man for his excellent combat reflexes. The dark warrior summoned the chains, wanting to test the true strength of the Lord of Hell. The white deity's blinding blow cut through the air, forcing the warrior to defend himself to the limit of his strength. Zheng Xiao felt the chilling pressure of the terrifying magical power of his new formidable opponents. Glowing purple shackles suddenly entangled the young man, completely depriving him of any ability to maneuver. The black maiden smiled triumphantly as she tightened the magical bonds on the body of her captured victim. The purple chains began to rapidly absorb the hero's energy, causing him unbearable pain. Zhang Xiao calmly used the Thunder Talisman on himself, instantly breaking the magical shackles. Once again wearing his golden armor, the warrior decided to use his advantage in speed. The white deity created a shining circle, preparing to unleash a new wave of its ghostly power. A sharp spear of light pierced the space, aiming straight at the heart of the young man who was now defending himself. The hero barely dodged the beam. Realizing the colossal and dangerous range of his opponent's weapons, the dark warrior mockingly advised her enemy not to disgrace himself and to quickly admit his defeat. Multiple energy strikes hit the warrior as the enemy projectiles suddenly began to actively duplicate themselves. The golden armor finally crumbled, forcing the game system to change the equipment to the basic set. The exhausted hero realized the complete impossibility of defeating two deities acting in such a coordinated manner. The wounded Zhang Xiao gloomily realized the hopelessness of the situation and prepared for a last, desperate step. The hero furiously activated his special skill, releasing a powerful stream of scarlet and destructive energy. A colossal dark shadow of a knight suddenly appeared behind the young man, frightening his enemies. The dark deity froze in amazement, sensing the abrupt change in the balance of military forces. The warrior furiously accused the spirit of bragging, trying to break the magical bonds imposed on her. The magical tip rushed swiftly into the center of the vortex, piercing the very fabric of the game's reality. Zhang Xiao resolutely called on the deity to immediately fight him in a final battle to the death. The White Maiden found herself trapped by a barrier, preventing her from parrying any oncoming attacks. The warrior unleashed a crushing blow on his opponent, filling the air with blinding and bright flashes of lightning. The deity finally acknowledged the hero's superiority and calmly declared the end of this tense duel. The White Maiden told her companion to be silent when she mockingly suggested that they stop pursuing them. Zhang Xiao was amazed by the deity's ability to forcibly disable his most powerful exclusive skill. The young man watched with bewilderment as the strange, uninvited guests suddenly left without any explanation. The black assistant confirmed the master's order about the need to immediately put him under surveillance. The hero recoiled in fear from his own fantasies of intimacy with these divine warriors. The Dark Maiden offered to transform into equipment for automatic and rapid movement to the target. The White Warrior calmly agreed to the proposed plan and began the magical ritual of undressing. The deities cast off their former human forms, leaving only empty clothes on the grass. The silhouettes of the maidens merged in a blinding radiance, launching a complex process of transformation into artifacts. Two magical rings soared into the night sky, heading straight towards their owner. Having assessed the scale of the destruction of the golden armor, the young man decided to immediately forge a new set in the starting location. The magical system solemnly proclaimed the warrior the lucky lord of hell, presenting him with the legendary yin-yang bracelets. Vivid flashes of lightning pierced the skies as mysterious artifacts were forcibly secured to the stunned hero's wrists. Zhang Xiao stared at the raging flames in utter bewilderment, wondering about the nature of this strange system joke. The young man tried in vain to remove the shackles, while the interface warned of severe punishment for any such attempt. The hero furiously shouted accusations against the deities of impermanence, finally recognizing their cunning and insidious plan. Deciding to hide his guess, the warrior falsely thanked the system and prepared to closely observe the plans of his opponents. Chaos erupted in the newcomer village, sparked by the appearance of a giant crystal and the outrage of the deceived event participants. Zhang Xiao analyzed yesterday's colossal player losses, noting a rapid increase in levels among some lucky ones. The thoughtful young man assessed his competitor's chances for a final push, intending to continue his ascent to absolute power. The white-haired warrior returned to the network with a flourish, genuinely surprising the young man who was watching her closely. The group leader and NC were excitedly discussing her incredibly rapid overnight-level progress. 4 experienced players confidently approached the white-haired assistant of the great ruler, who stood frozen in anticipation. NC persistently questioned the warrior about the details of their successful joint hunt for powerful dragons. The stern warrior was furiously indignant that their unique gaming strategy had been so easily hijacked. The cold beauty sternly explained to the newcomers that the dangerous monster quickly figured out their primitive tactics. Jin Deshao sarcastically asked his companion the secret of her constant victories over this monster. The girl confidently stated that the unknown master had easily discovered the mortal vulnerability of the formidable dragon. The heroine predicted imminent intervention by developers due to the widespread use of her new gaming strategy. NC urged the angry warrior to show more of the respect he deserved for his loyal comrades. The group's leader waved his hand dismissively, urging his comrades not to dwell on Yuning's successes. The cleaner anxiously reminded the boss about the upcoming rank count and the possible loss of opportunity. Zhang Xiao's eyes flashed with anger, feeling the weight of responsibility for the outcome of this important battle. The stern warrior bit his finger in despair, fearing to miss a rare opportunity to maneuver. The blue-haired companion mysteriously whispered to her ally about the hidden reasons for descending to the lower levels. NC excitedly spoke of the untold riches that awaited the first winner at level 18. The enraged leader jokingly scolded his friend for being too talkative in front of other team players. The white-haired warrior touched her chin thoughtfully, realizing the secrecy of the information, accessible only to the best masters. The girls froze in front of a system notification about a new event that suddenly appeared in the sky. Zhang Xiao studied the scroll with the announcement of the hunt for a rare beast in amazement. The girls hurried to the great desert, hoping to be the first to find a rare underground worm. The friends discussed the danger of top players dying due to the incredibly high level of the monster. The insidious leader planned to deal with the girls in order to seize their valuable game resources. The team laughed approvingly at their boss's brutal methods as they quickly walked away. Zhang Xiao watched the group from the rooftop, puzzled by the girls' strange choice. The youth pondered the secret of the 18th level, which was not found in the records of the Lord of Hell. The hero furiously vowed to collect all the debts from these vile gaming scammers. The spirit of the bracelet was outraged by the strange rout of its owner, dreaming of giving him a resounding slap in the face. The mysterious maiden stood sadly in the void, analyzing the unpredictable actions of her master. Zhang Xiao walked into the forge with determination, calling the owner of the establishment for an important matter. The demonic master coldly greeted Zhang Xiao in her white-hot forge. The young man dryly stated his request to immediately sell him the most durable set of armor. The shop owner lazily showed the hero the best examples of protective equipment from the assortment. The blacksmith suggested first buying the base, and then personally obtaining the resources for the upgrade. Piles of glittering gems and bones of ancient monsters suddenly appeared on the workbench. Zhang Xiao sternly asked if these rare materials were enough to create a masterpiece. The red-skinned maiden fell into ecstasy from the incredible abundance of treasures brought by the hero. The young man resolutely demanded that his blade be strengthened, ignoring his assistant's shock. The workshop was filled with a divine glow, marking the birth of an artifact of incredible and destructive power. The system solemnly proclaimed the acquisition of the legendary Azure Dragon armor with absolute invulnerability. The magic system solemnly confirmed the creation of a furious thunderblade with incredible destructive power. The amazed blacksmith sincerely admired the young man's rare talent for creating equipment of the highest class. The demonic maiden was busily searching through an old chest, trying to find a special valuable gift for the master. The craftswoman solemnly handed Zhang Xiao a mysterious forge for independently quickly upgrading items. The young man froze in amazement when the generous owner of the forge gave him the artifact completely free of charge. The happy hero celebrated his success wildly in the street, waving his arms in praise of his good fortune. After the guest left, the red-skinned warrior remained alone in the deep silence of her workshop. The blacksmith bowed obediently before the shining portal, reporting on the precise fulfillment of the master's will. The white-haired assistant coldly praised her subordinate and ordered her to strictly keep their secret. The demoness thoughtfully reflected on the divine origin of the forge, created personally by the great King Yama. The white-haired assistant mysteriously hinted that the great lord had personal plans. Zhang Xiao examined the bracelet with doubt, thinking that the legendary artifact was just a fashion accessory. The young man persistently rubbed the surface of the black bracelet, hoping to activate a hidden defense mechanism. The spirit inside the bracelet reacted extremely ambiguously to the intense manipulations of its owner. A powerful bolt of lightning suddenly incinerated the hero, turning him into a sparkling skeleton. Zhang Xiao froze in shock, trying unsuccessfully to understand the reason for the bracelet's sudden aggression. The young man screamed in despair as he noticed his health level drop critically after the blow. The system sternly warned the player about the consequences of rough handling of high-tech bracelets. A charming stranger in a fluffy dress joyfully rushed towards the stunned Zhang Xiao. The girl excitedly admitted that she had been looking for him in the game for a very long time and diligently. The beauty swore to the hero that she would henceforth carefully read all his in-game messages. Zhang Xiao insisted on setting out immediately, without waiting for his late companion. The young man sternly reminded his ally of the main goal of their important rescue mission. A motley crowd of gamblers rushed rapidly along the dusty path towards the cherished goal. The tired blonde tearfully begged her partner for a short rest before the decisive throw. The powerful mage furiously summoned waves of sand, absorbing magical energy from his staff. A team of lucky ones daringly overcame high dunes riding on a summoned earth elemental. The sarcastic wild boar rider loudly mocked the foot players for their slowness. The defeated warrior tore his hair out in utter despair, envying the other man's incredible ingenuity. The breathless girl froze in indecision, noticing a suspicious bald player in the forest. The wild boar player froze in fear, having discovered something truly frightening ahead. The companions bent over the magician in horror, who had completely lost his strength after the summoning. A huge azure whale soared majestically in the sky, eclipsing the dim sun with its body. The pink-haired demoness excitedly beckoned to tourists while riding a giant mythical fish. Zhang Xiao lazily sipped his drink while his blue-haired companion relaxed on a comfortable lounge chair. A group of players frustratedly realized the futility of their attempts to catch up with the flying monster. The heroes finally reached the endless great desert, shrouded in a gloomy and oppressive atmosphere. The blue-haired beauty became worried about the strange fog that hid the dangers of the Torn-Tongue prison. The girl spoke anxiously about searching for her white-haired comrade in this eerie place. Zhang Xiao calmly suggested waiting, deciding not to rush towards the as-yet unknown threat. The enraged companion dealt the hero a powerful kick for his extremely unacceptable behavior. The young man confidently explained that until the worm was defeated, the girl would remain safe. The heroes set up a makeshift tent, deciding to patiently wait for the appearance of the dangerous underground worm. The beauty asked doubtfully if he really knew the exact location of the monster's appearance. The young man calmly urged his friend to continue waiting, hiding the important secrets of King Yama. The girl turned away, offended, apologizing for her intrusive questions about the secrets of this world. The companion watched the hero in fascination, realizing his incredible ability to always find a tactic. Zhang Xiu rushed forward, recalling the key moments of his past battles. The girl blushed with embarrassment, suddenly feeling completely safe next to him. The young man was genuinely perplexed by the sudden blush on the face of his faithful and mysterious partner. Zhang Xiu cautiously activated the magic bracelet in the complete darkness of his camping tent. The young man instantly reacted to the roar that heralded the imminent appearance of the great underground worm. The stunned hero gripped his companion's leg tightly, completely losing control in an awkward moment. The girl moaned quietly, gradually regaining consciousness after the sudden and powerful blow. The tent shook violently from the frightened scream, awakening the evil lurking deep underground. The enraged monster carved a huge, deep path in the sand, terrifying in its scale. Zhang Xiu calmly explained to his ally the habits of this dangerous predator of the ancient Yellow Spring. The companion was ambiguously amazed by the size of the worm's trail, causing the hero to fall silent with displeasure and a frown. The beauty giggled cheerfully at the situation, while the young man concentrated on planning his future attack. The hero carefully studied the chaos of the battle, trying to quickly figure out the exact location of the monster's head. The heroes attacked the enemy unsuccessfully, receiving only notification of an extremely weak magical effect. Zhang Xiu was alarmed to realize that wood attacks were completely useless against this strange enemy. The scroll revealed the true golden nature of the worm born deep beneath the sands of the Yellow Spring. The blue-haired companion confidently stated that this enemy did not belong to the element of earth at all. The young man sincerely admired the insight of his assistant, who instantly dispelled all his painful doubts. The girl authoritatively identified the monster's water element type based on its specific name. The assistant proudly praised her brilliant mind, not noticing the skeptical expression on the gentleman's face. The girl absurdly pursued a small snake, suggesting using fire against the imaginary watery threat. Zhang Xiu was completely speechless as he analyzed the absurd, spontaneous logic of his battle partner. The hero was determined to use the flame, having calculated the true vulnerability of the insidious worm's golden shell. The girl looked at the scarlet flame sword with satisfaction. The companion handed Zhang Xiu the blade for instant kill. The hero prepared fire talismans to enhance the power of weapons. The assistants discussed the strange luck of their charges with skepticism. Zhang Xiu resolutely prepared to destroy the dangerous worm. The young man rushed into the attack, ordering his allies to step aside. The bespectacled companion forbade the use of useless firearms. Zhang Xiu swung the flaming steel with a cheeky smile. The hero thrust his sword into the ground using the power of the elements. The powerful explosion caused a storm of delight among the astonished witnesses. A huge dark column of energy suddenly erupted from the depths of the earth. Zhang Xiu stood still, waiting for a new dangerous enemy to appear. The giant worm opened its shining mouth for a deadly blow. The companions screamed in panic as they saw the true nightmare awakening. The hero realized that he had to destroy the monster before the players arrived. The assistant in the bracelet became worried about the possible death of the gentleman. The monster made a swift attack, depriving the young man of any chance to win. The maidens decided to act together to save their master. The young man's hands suddenly began to move on their own at the will of his assistants. Zhang Xiu unleashed the power of yin-yang to deliver a decisive magical strike. The ghostly maidens dealt the first noticeable magical damage to the worm. Zhang Xiu boldly assessed the suddenly increased power of his body. The young man fearlessly challenged the enraged worm to a decisive battle. The monster's huge body tightly constrained the protagonist's movements. Zhang Xiu screamed loudly from the sharp pain inside the grip. The companion cried out in despair the name of her captured master. The hero cursed the enemy furiously, finding himself in the clutches of living flesh. The companions joined forces to magically rescue their leader. A sphere of destructive energy flared up right in front of the worm's mouth. A blinding explosion of fire crushed the monster's head with a powerful blow. The blue-haired maiden bravely struck the worm with her magic blade. Zhang Xiu languished in captivity while his companions held the line. The girl fearlessly broke through the fire to her master. A group of heroes rushed together to cut off the head of the insidious monster. The mysterious warrior studied the strength of her unknown rival with interest. The companion crossed her arms in excitement, fearing for the hero's life. A powerful magical projectile deprived the monster of the remaining vital forces. The monster's dark energy pushed the warriors back, causing great chaos. The heroines obediently listened to orders, despite their obvious discontent. The leader with the armband announced a forced exit from the game. Hundreds of players furiously attacked the monster, gradually reducing its health. The wounded heroes discussed tactics for waiting for the decisive blow. The enraged worm sent the attackers flying with a powerful spin. The exhausted warriors fell to the ground from the crushing force of the enemy. Zhang Xiu was delighted at his sudden rescue from the monster's deadly grip. A blazing rain of magical flames suddenly fell upon the monster. The silhouettes of the prison's strongest players suddenly appeared on the horizon. Two skilled archers calmly took aim at the head of a huge worm. The team's 5 legendary fighters prepared to engage in a bloody battle. The golden-haired warrior closed her eyes in concentration before the decisive magical move. The golden-haired warrior proudly displayed her crushing magical power. The girl began to read a powerful spell to summon lightning. The heavenly discharges mercilessly struck the body of the huge worm. The common players were outraged by their allies' dangerous area attack. The legendary heroine coldly ignored the angry cries of the weak warriors. The rank-and-file fighters furiously cursed the pride of the prison's strongest players. The blue-haired companion desperately rushed to the aid of the captured master. The brave maiden plunged her sharp blades into the monster's thick skin. A group of mercenaries planned to carry out a treacherous blow in the back. The vile enemy suddenly grabbed the hostage, threatening her with a sharp knife. The girl cried as the enemy took away her last resources. The robber greedily examined the valuables he received from the victim. The vile mercenaries discussed new targets for their theft. The mysterious warrior quickly jumped towards the traitor's camp. Zhang Xiao's assistant was struck by lightning and fell. The girl lay unconscious after a devastating magical shock. The hero caught his falling companion in his arms, saving her. Zhang Xiu explained his cunning escape plan to his friend. The young man and the maiden came face to face with the warrior. 2 bandits suddenly attacked the girl from behind. The warrior looked back, noticing a new threat approaching in the midst of the battle. Zhang Xiu made a dash, forcing the enemies to finally remove their masks. The enemy trembled, realizing the hero's instant reprisal against his allies. The young man coldly reminded the traitors, who were stunned by him, of his presence. The bandit, horrified, recognized the guy who was allegedly killed in the newcomer's village. An enraged Zhang Xiao promised the robbers that they would fully experience the victim's pain. The defeated criminals humbly begged the hero to spare their miserable lives. The mercenaries obediently gave up all the stolen goods for their own salvation. The hero finally subdued the insolent gang leader with a powerful kick. The companion loomed menacingly over the enemy, demanding that NC be returned immediately. The warrior coldly ordered the robbers to leave the virtual world immediately. Zhang Xiao considered the loss of resources to be the most severe punishment. The worm's carcass suddenly crushed the fleeing criminals, taking revenge. The heroes watched as the monster was destroyed by the forces of the legendary 5. The young man confidently refused to help high-level masters in battle. The commander ordered Spinach to attack and her companion to replenish mana. The archer calmly took aim at the open mouth of the giant monster. The magic arrows simultaneously struck the enraged monster's vulnerable points. The powerful explosion almost completely depleted the worm's health reserves. The giant, surrounded by fire, sternly warned those around him against recklessness. The players were outraged by the injustice and rushed into the thick of the battle. The massive warrior prepared to attack the hero who had climbed onto the worm's back. A sudden electric shock overwhelmed the companions, causing them to scream in pain. Zhang Xiao leaped forward, shocking his opponent with his incredible speed. The archer calmly took aim at the hero, promising his immediate death. The girl released a fan of shining arrows at a moving target. The young man tried to avoid the shelling by balancing on the monster's body. The treacherous projectile unexpectedly pierced the hero's back below the waist. Zhang Xiao screamed in shock as he watched his health bar melt away. The assistants watched in horror as their leader suffered critical damage. Zhang Xiao dodged the spears, complaining about the short distance. The girl in green called the enemy's pretentious actions useless. The warrior quickly ran along the back of the giant sandworm. The ally with the machine gun excitedly suggested that the enemies try to escape. Zhang Xiao was relieved to see Meng Mu's timely appearance. The second assistant ordered her allies to immediately attack the new target. The heroes unleashed a powerful barrage of abilities on the huge monster. A violent burst of energy engulfed Zhang Xiao in the center of the explosion. The wounded warrior cat screamed in terror, calling for her brother. The hero activated the golden armor and summoned the Thunderblade. The companion was amazed by the young man's suddenly revealed invulnerability. The allies finished off the giant worm with a powerful combination attack. The assistant intercepted the enemy's blade, forbidding him to even think about attacking. Zhang made a swift dash, piercing the monster's flesh with light. The youth instantly summoned the power of the Thunder Sword for the final blow. A pillar of energy incinerated the enemy in an act of total annihilation. The witnesses were horrified to realize the incredible superiority of the hero's characteristics. After the crushing attack, Zhang Xiao collapsed exhausted. The winner noted that he surpassed the monster by only a small margin. The system congratulated the team by presenting them with a rare drum and blade. The new demonic blade has greatly increased the wielder's overall attack power. Zhang Xiao successfully leveled up after a tough battle. The companions were surprised to note the sharp increase in their characteristics. The wounded warrior was healed and reached a new combat level. The angry warrior furiously scolded the hero for his insolence. The frightened enemy panicked and tried to escape from the battlefield. The prisoner furiously demanded freedom from Spinach for the sake of bloody revenge. The girl sternly reprimanded her ally for his cowardice and shame. The hero suggested that his allies take all the rewards due to their shortage. The teammate reminded the team that there were 2 days left until the final. The warrior was furious when he realized the collapse of his position in the rankings. The golden-haired companion watched her enemies with a cold and contemptuous gaze. The young man removed the trophies, mocking the inflated egos of his defeated opponents. The leaders discussed tactics for the upcoming battle with the level boss. Zhang Xiao invited his allies to join him in a joint experience hunt. The assistants froze in shock at the master's outrageous characteristics. Competitors furiously exterminated the wolf pack for the sake of rapid progress. The little demoness diligently massaged the feet of the resting Lord of Hell. The hero relaxed in a luxury hotel, ignoring the hustle and bustle of those around him. The angry girls caught the leader taking an unexpected break. Zhang Xiao was thinking about tactics while resting before the boss battle. The Lord of Hell grimly realized the peril of his current situation. The blue-haired swordsman was outraged by the serene behavior of his resting comrades. The half-naked demon furiously cursed the cold and the insolent leaders. The golden-haired assistant offered to level up the girl for the sake of raiding. The opponent vowed not to give up the championship in Hell's prison. The warriors reached the snowy mountain, the best place for farming experience. The blonde watched her partner's actions with doubt. A cute fox joyfully greeted guests at the entrance to the hotel. The hero suddenly discovered something important, interrupting his well-deserved sleep. The young man found a way to quickly gain experience in the hellish prison. The allies doubted the value of the experience from the small forest animal. The hero confirmed his participation in the risky test of his steely will. The little fox took the form of a seductive maiden with a fluffy tail. The spirit ordered Zhang Xiao to immediately activate the start of the dangerous mission. The beauty voiced the threat of losing half of her levels if she failed the quest. The frightened partners tried to dissuade the leader from participating in the adventure. The young man ignored the team's fears and resolutely accepted the challenge. The girls froze in horror, realizing the recklessness of the hero's decision. The cunning man quickly discovered the key hidden on the body of the beautiful hostess. The companions froze in shock at the leader's cunning and luck. The fox congratulated Zhang Xiao on winning the test of will. The demoness opened a dark portal and wished the heroes good luck. The team screamed as they fell through the floor into the unknown. Rules have banned the use of weapons in the new water challenge. The half-naked hero realized the difficulty of the task of catching carp. The girls in bathing suits were at a loss due to the lack of equipment. The blue-haired companion pointed to a flock approaching the raft. A multitude of fish rose into the air from the depths of the river. The jumping carp began to hit the girls painfully on the heads. The guy caught a fish with his teeth, ignoring the weapons ban. The hero focused on fulfilling the conditions of the water quest. The assistant froze in place, covering her revealing outfit. The red-haired companion was embarrassed by her seductive appearance. The beauty in a swimsuit gracefully posed in the middle of the river. Zhang Xiao reacted comically to his co-worker's attractiveness. The magic screen confirmed the completion of the speed test. The group on the raft approached the entrance to the cave. The team has reached the gates of a new quest for mutual understanding. The boy with the pufferfish asked about catching fish with his hands. Shay stood there in confusion before his elusive target. The young man tried unsuccessfully to hold on to the slippery pufferfish. The girl realized the urgent need for teamwork. The blue-haired assistant told Meng Yin to stand in front. The girls began to squeeze the caught prey in unison. The magical pufferfish rapidly swelled from the external pressure. A blinding flash marked the completion of the difficult capture. The interface recorded the catch of the first fish out of 100. The companions joyfully celebrated their first joint success. Zhang Xiao tearfully thanked the Lord sincerely. The girls demonstrated a method for catching fish using any part of the body. The heroes were greatly embarrassed by the piquancy of the new rules of the test. Zhang Xiao prepared to use all his might to catch the prey. The young man justified himself by citing the lack of any other way out in the current situation. The leader suggested that the allies hug carefully for the sake of their common success. The blue-haired warrior furiously unleashed the wrath of God on her target. The girl performed a devastating and graceful kick in mid-air. The magical fish crashed into the hero's face at great speed. The partners watched the warrior's technical strike at a normal pace. The companions froze in mute shock from the abrupt change of scenery. A stunned Zhang Xiao lay motionless on the ground, trying to comprehend his companion's sudden and ambiguous actions. A determined beauty in an azure dress loomed over the hero, insistently demanding that he immediately acknowledge her as his only partner. The blue-haired warrior and her cat-eared friend readily agreed to form a reliable and effective fighting duo. The white-robed swordsman and his assistant discussed the mysterious disappearance of a key ally from the network, with obvious anxiety. The ferocious beast suddenly knocked the warrior off his feet, ignoring the desperate cry of his little ally about the impending mortal danger. The golden-haired archers prepared to fire with concentration, trying to remain completely calm in the midst of a large-scale battle. The young warrior in scarlet froze in bewilderment, noticing the sudden increase in her personal level to 21. A group of players studied the updated rankings in fascination, where a mysterious fighter suddenly displaced all the recognized leaders of the list. The commentators on air were excitedly discussing the rapid strengthening of Zhang Xiao's team before the start of the decisive final match. The massive gates to the testing area swung open triumphantly, paving the way for the heroes to face new dangers and achieve great glory. Zhang Xiao passed the test successfully and ordered his companions to stay strictly behind him. A huge spider quietly followed the heroes as they entered the area of a difficult side quest. The blue-haired companion teased her friend, forcing her to shyly hide her true feelings. The companions discussed Zhang Xiao's behavior, considering his naivety to be nothing more than a cunning and calculated pretense. The partners suddenly froze from the strange sound, frightened, wondering about the nature of the new danger. A disgusting spider-like parasite has taken over the ally's face, turning her into a limp, creepy doll. Hearing the piercing scream, Zhang Xiao instantly turned around, sensing the beginning of a terrible bloodbath. A gigantic monster with glowing eyes suddenly appeared before the unarmed and shocked youth. The hero rushed in panic towards his fallen friends, whose faces were hidden by living masks. A mysterious lilac glow enveloped the bodies of the allies, depriving them of their last hope of salvation. The young man jumped back in panic, trying to avoid the sudden attack of the creepy flying parasite. A multitude of small spiders attacked the hero, releasing strange glowing threads in his direction. The enraged monster let out a piercing scream as a powerful energy pulse threw him aside. Zhang Xiao looked with disgust at the remnants of poisonous slime left behind after the destruction of the annoying opponents. The giant monster suddenly breathed out a thick cloud of purple gas straight into the young man's face. The hero quickly covered his mouth with his hand, realizing the destructive effects of the monster's dangerous hallucinogenic fog. The warrior's consciousness gradually became clouded, and his eyelids slowly drooped under the influence of the poison. When Zhang Xiao woke up, he found himself floating in a strange pink space of an unknown dimension. A mysterious female hand gently touched the hero's body, causing him great confusion. The white-haired companion whispered seductively about her loneliness, looking intently at the stunned gentleman. The stupidly smiling young man with a broken nose confirmed his passionate desire to stay forever. The red-haired companion clung tenderly to the hero, promising to be by his side forever. The white-haired maiden began to undress, while the rest of her partners involved the drugged young man in the game. Blinded by passion, Zhang Xiao was swooning over the caresses, finding what was happening in the hallucination amazing. The young man suddenly lost his balance and fell backwards, continuing to swear allegiance incoherently. The blue-haired warrior passionately begged her master to remain in this world forever only with her. The beauties surrounded the warrior, and the red-haired companion promised to give affectionate attention to absolutely everyone. A sudden electrical impulse pierced the hero's mind, forcing him to realize the frightening falseness of what was happening. The haze cleared, revealing the paralyzed bodies of the partners lying in a ring of eerie lilac fire. The spider-like demoness cursed boredom, confessing to using hallucinogenic gas against intruders. Zhang Xiao delivered a crushing punch, ordering the spider demon to immediately get away forever. The defeated multi-legged monster squealed pitifully as the hero's powerful kick finally knocked it over. The young man breathed a sigh of relief, realizing the successful completion of a difficult and extremely dangerous test. A luxurious golden chest materialized before the hero, containing a rare and very valuable blessing. Zhang Xiao looked at the sphere thoughtfully, genuinely surprised by the presence of these treasures in the cave. The blue-haired companion, who had come to her senses, looked in confusion at the gentleman who was tenderly and caringly supporting her. The girl suddenly struck the young man with her fist, greatly frightened by his unexpectedly close presence. The beauty sheepishly apologized for her actions while Zhang Xiao tried in vain to stop the bleeding. Determined to continue his journey, the hero led the team deep into the dark cave for the sake of experience. In the newcomer's village, commentators excitedly discussed the strange inaction of the ratings leader before the final. The commentators gasped as Zhang Xiao's team's ranking instantly shot up to 4th place. The horned demon lazily gnawed on an apple, watching the hero's progress through the monitor screen. The creepy boss grinned in anticipation, declaring his intention to finally enter the game. The mighty prison king of the 25th level majestically appeared before the audience in all his glory. The blue-haired swordsman fiercely fought off the wave of monsters, trying to maintain his strategic position. The formidable warrior found himself in a dense ring of shadows, sparkling with the scarlet eyes of bloodthirsty predators. A huge horned wolf suddenly jumped on the young man, letting out a deafening and ferocious roar. The swordsman barely managed to deflect the powerful blast directed at him by the enraged mythical beast. The fighter in white robes angrily clenched his teeth, realizing the gravity of his situation. The golden-haired warrior with a spear sternly advised the enemy to surrender, acknowledging the superiority of their team. The golden-haired warrior triumphantly took 5th place, earning the right to challenge the main boss. The defeated blue-haired swordsman sank to the ground in disappointment, unwilling to accept defeat. The furious fighter in white flashed his eyes angrily, demanding that the victory of the hated four be prevented. A golden glow enveloped the heroine's body as she began her rapid ascent up the level. A powerful flash of light blinded her opponents as the warrior put all her strength into the blow. A majestic green tower pierced the heavens, becoming the site of the final and dangerous test. The team of heroes, led by Zhang Xiao, prepared for battle at the summit. The golden-haired assistant bowed her head sadly, while Zhang Xiao concentrated on assessing the current situation. The stern warrior acknowledged the defeat of the enemy, who was unable to surpass her in strength. Zhang Xiao asked the only mage for support before the decisive assault on the tower. Zhang Xiao extended his hand, expressing his sincere hope for a long and fruitful cooperation. The mysterious maiden in the bracelet realized the problems associated with the hero's online presence. The blue-haired captive in the sphere urged him not to rush, fearing that he would create unnecessary problems for the master. The shocked young man was surprised that his companions were completely unaware of his acute hearing. The partners decided to patiently wait for the end of their master's battle with a very strong boss. The horned demon danced excitedly, boasting of his enormous wealth and complete inability to spend it. The smug boss preened in front of the mirror, promising to arrive at the scene in 1 minute. The enraged monster threatened to cut his opponent into small pieces for his endless chatter. A fierce boss dealt cruelly with a subordinate who dared to disobey his threatening order. The squad froze in horror, hearing someone's piercing scream and a suspicious noise in the distance. The golden-haired assistant clearly explained the complex hierarchy of the tower's 9 levels before the final assault. Silhouettes of fiercely fighting warriors flashed in the tower's windows during the first stages. The defeated players lay motionless on the cold floor as the battle's difficulty increased dramatically. Zhang Xiao suspected the powerful Eastern Emperor of secretly interfering with the tournament itself. The majestic Eastern Emperor with a blazing green eye suddenly appeared before his subordinate. The blue-skinned demon obediently knelt, listening to the important orders of his formidable earthly master. The treacherous ruler officially announced a change in plan and ordered the immediate destruction of everyone. The emperor lazily tossed an apple, ordering his servant to watch the progress of this battle carefully. The enraged ruler crushed the petals, promising to force the king of hell to finally obey completely. The executive demon saluted, sincerely admiring the great wisdom of his only mighty master. The Eastern Emperor gave the dark sphere to his subordinate, promising a generous reward for his faithful service. The tired team languished in anticipation of the boss, dreaming of finishing the work in reality as quickly as possible. The mighty prison king leisurely walked out to the heroes, leisurely finishing a juicy red apple. The companions watched the vile behavior of this arrogant demonic adversary with undisguised disgust. The enraged partner was the first to rush into the attack, opening a barrage of fire from her weapon. The cold-blooded boss asked to wait until his meal was finished, demonstrating complete and absolute calm. The young warrior was horrified when her powerful volley did not reduce the monster's health at all. The white-haired companion frantically analyzed the reasons why normal attacks were useless against this strange boss. The demon finally finished eating the fruit and announced the beginning of his devastating counterattack. A powerful blast wave threw the heroine back, interrupting her desperate attempt to inflict damage. Xiaolo collapsed to the ground, writhing in unbearable pain from the damage she had received. Zhang Xiao loudly warned the team about the poisonous saliva and ordered an immediate attack. The hero dodged with lightning speed when the cunning opponent tried to reach him with his huge pole. The companions rushed forward in unison, wondering if this was the true power of the strongest boss. The frustrated demon summoned a powerful wave of darkness that instantly scattered the brave warriors to the sides. The partners sank helplessly onto the cold floor, looking at their critically low health indicators. The sneering monster raised his weapon for the final blow, mockingly praising the girls for their efforts. Zhang Xiao suddenly blocked the attack as a bright pillar of pure energy pierced the sky. The enraged youth demanded the monster's permission before he dared touch his allies. The hero realized with alarm that without the support of the mage, it would be impossible to defeat the boss. The blue-skinned demon arrogantly deprived the young man of any hope of success in battle. A sudden burst of energy threw the monster back, interrupting his pompous speech. Zhang Xiao, with his sword, reminded the enemy of the support of his loyal allies. The pink-haired heroine aimed the cannon, threatening to send the enemy straight to the underworld. The wounded monster growled curses in rage because of his ruined hairstyle. The girl mockingly suggested that the demon change his image, continuing to shower him with projectiles. The young man sincerely admired Meng Yin's skill in successfully suppressing the enemy's resistance. The swordsman activated the demonic blade to deliver a decisive blow to the enemy. Zhang Xiao watched the battle anxiously, afraid that he would not have time to prove himself. The hero fell flat on the ground after the attack, still clutching the hilt of his sword tightly. A block of ice suddenly froze the sword, causing the white-haired assistant to cry out in surprise. The young man burst into tears over the rubble, while Meng Yin stood triumphantly behind him. The blue-skinned monster mistakenly saw love in the cold gaze of the beautiful warrior. Zhang Xiao anxiously warned his friend about the appearance of a creepy boss behind her back. The blue-haired maiden made a graceful leap, swiftly moving out of the enemy's attack range. The hero decisively closed the distance, hoping to stun the demon before its next turn. A crushing blow to the back ripped through the enemy's flesh, instantly depleting his health bar. The wounded demon and Zhang Xiao simultaneously froze in shock at the unexpected turn of events. The second assistant used her stealth skill and suddenly appeared behind the enemy. The enemy roared furiously in pain and finally realized his complete defeat. Zhang Xiao was amazed by the assassin's frightening skill as he quickly escaped the enemy's dangerous attack zone. The blonde warrior summoned a clap of thunder, unleashing a punishing stream of powerful electricity on the monster. The blue-haired maiden collapsed after being electrocuted, instantly losing her invisibility due to the attack. The heroine furiously fired at the demon with a cannon, blaming him for losing the chance to kill the boss. The young man carefully picked up his partner, lamenting the interruption of her powerful skill and her serious injury. The blue-skinned enemy cunningly took advantage of the short respite to fully recover his strength before a new attack. The monster arrogantly praised the strength of his opponents and promised them the imminent beginning of a real nightmare. The demon greedily swallowed the imperial gift, instantly filling with a crushing and very dark energy of death. The monster's gaze lit up with a maddening blue light, marking the completion of its terrifying transformation. The boss's level skyrocketed, turning him into an absolutely invincible death machine. The young man was horrified by the enemy's ability to instantly increase his power. The transformed monster gleefully reminded the blue-haired maiden of the wound he had inflicted on her earlier. The hero activated the demonic sword, but the boss threw it away with one casual blow. Zhang Xiao realized the fatal gap in levels that prevented the magic blade from working. The companions called out to the fallen leader in despair, seeing his crushing and heavy defeat. A huge demon mockingly blocked the path of the blue-haired warrior, completely depriving her of salvation. The monster released a powerful wave of dark flame, completely scattering the defenders to the sides. The girls rushed towards the wounded Zhang Xiao, trying to cover him with their bodies. The boss laughed madly, anticipating the imminent death of all his wounded and helpless enemies. The golden-haired heroine suspected something was wrong with the overly human and provocative behavior of the game's opponent. The demon furiously grabbed the girl by the hair, promising to immediately deal with the impudent warrior. The boss gleefully promised to turn the golden heroine into a pancake with one powerful blow. The girl closed her eyes in despair, feeling the crushing pressure of the enemy's frightening aura. The huge monster froze in surprise as his sure attack was suddenly met with a decisive rebuff. Zhang Xiao remained completely calm in the face of imminent death from the boss's fist. The hero's thunderblade did no damage, only causing a mocking laugh from the invulnerable enemy. The swordsman demanded that his ally strengthen his weapon to pierce the incredibly strong skin. The blue-haired warrior entered the battle decisively, promising to provide her friends with the necessary magical assistance. The boss confidently declared that he would kill the young man with just one light movement of his finger. The young man bravely shielded his girlfriend, rapidly losing his last health points from the blow. The blue-haired warrior resolutely declared her readiness to deal with the enemy alone. The heroine activated her spear skill, wanting to protect her wounded master at any cost. The girl took the form of a war goddess, creating dozens of ghostly doubles to attack. The clone army formed a tight circle around the demon, preparing for a crushing and powerful blow. The ghostly warriors attacked the monster, urging him never to underestimate a woman's power. A hail of crushing blows fell upon the boss under furious orders to crush the enemy. The stunned demon tried in vain to fight off the endless stream of copies attacking him. The boss furiously destroyed the clones, trying to figure out the location of his opponent's real body. The blue-haired assistant suddenly staggered as her health bar was almost completely depleted. Zhang Xiao caught his falling companion in time, while the blonde was casting a spell behind him. The mighty demon sarcastically compared his assistant's army to helpless chickens, incapable of harming him. The monster instantly identified the warrior's true body and dealt a crushing blow, interrupting her technique. The second companion sacrificed all her equipment to activate a powerful and terrifying blessing from the god of death himself. The huge boss confidently repelled the magical attack, declaring that such cheap tricks would no longer work. The destroyer raised his mace over the weakened maiden, promising to cook her in meat sauce after his victory. The warrior struggled to breathe from the pain, realizing that her health reserves were almost completely depleted. The golden-haired assistant solemnly announced the completion of the blade's magical enhancement, giving the hero his long-awaited chance. Zhang Xiao unleashed a series of lightning-fast attacks, leaving bright glowing traces of his furious attack in the air. The monster's gaze froze in amazement as its life bar began to rapidly decrease under the hero's onslaught. The Lord of Hell decisively engaged the demon in close combat, intending to destroy the impudent boss first. Zhang Xiao activated the Azure Dragon armor, predicting a quick and painful death for the enemy. The hero unleashed his bloodlust, causing the massive demon to shudder with terrifying power. Mengyan was amazed by the insane combination of golden fire and her leader's incredible determination. The young man launched a series of lightning-fast strikes, completely ignoring the boss's vaunted and impenetrable defense. Zhang Xiao plunged his blade into the monster's chest, draining its massive health bar. The victor looked coldly at the disintegrating enemy, reminding him of his true insignificance. The companions embraced the hero with tears of joy, celebrating the long-awaited end of this grueling battle. The exhausted warriors froze in the arena, realizing the scale of their incredible and difficult victory. The little servant reported to the Lord in horror about the arrival of a group of 5 of the strongest players. King Yaksha, sitting on the throne, cursed furiously upon learning of the defeat of his useless servants. King Yaksha angrily ordered his servants to immediately deal with the impudent human boy. The group of heroes moved to the spawn point on the second level of the terrifying prison. Zhang Xiao noticed a pattern where each stage of the game began in a settlement. The friends were struck by the absolute absence of life on the deserted and suspiciously quiet streets. The swordsman came across a locked gate and suspected that there was an important hidden mission there. The young man suddenly felt a sharp pain, accompanied by a frightening and inexplicable drop in health points. Mengyan worriedly asked about his condition, but the hero hid his discomfort. A loud and ominous laugh made the team instantly alert and prepare for battle. The demons in the tavern discussed the sealed prison, rejoicing at the time of freedom that had come for them. Zhang Xiao resolutely opened the window, revealing a group of monsters feasting carelessly inside. Zhang Xiao politely asked the demons for a way to leave this gloomy place. The grotesque monster, horrified, assumed that the heroes had escaped from a terrible prison. The creature pompously introduced itself as an all-knowing guide and welcomed the unexpected guests to hell. The young man matter-of-factly asked his new acquaintance about his real ability to open locked gates. The cunning demon demanded a valuable treasure in exchange for passage through the guarded territory. The hero began to enthusiastically dig through his inventory, looking for a magical artifact suitable for the deal. Zhang Xiao looked thoughtfully at the mysterious purple sphere, not understanding its true purpose. The captive spider girl screamed loudly as magical chains suddenly tightened around her body. The protagonist froze in confusion, tightly clutching the chain from his new captive in his hands. The jealous companions furiously pulled the guy by the ears because of the appearance of a new suspicious warrior. Zhang Xiao refused to hand over the captive, ignoring the guide's tempting offer to open the gate quickly. The young man looked at the new captive, realizing the very high value of this extremely rare find. The insidious demon flew into an indescribable rage and demanded that the spider girl be handed over to him immediately. The guide summoned a crowd of minions, threatening the heroes with cruel reprisals if they refused. The enormous iron gates creaked open, revealing the way to the level's unknown secrets. The swordsman sternly scolded the defeated monster, forcing him to sincerely thank him for the lesson he had learned. The team headed resolutely towards the exit, leaving behind a mountain of unconscious bodies of defeated demons. Zhang Xiao demanded a new task, and the guide hastened to offer the hero a difficult quest. The creature ordered the young man to tame the monster, causing the protagonist extreme bewilderment. The system offered the warrior to choose a method of taming the pet, and the hero activated the use of the whip. Zhang Xiao used a magical whip to begin the process of disciplining his captive. The spider girl burst into tears, realizing the complete futility of any resistance to her master's will. The former enemy suddenly changed her appearance and devotedly clung to the feet of the surprised hero. The warrior's companions were truly indignant at such a quick and successful taming. The humble spider in human form meekly looked at her master, awaiting his orders. Zhang Xiao stepped decisively into the opened portal, leading his small army further. A huge, dark dragon appeared in the sky, filling the surrounding area with its deafening and furious roar. The monstrous beast fell to the ground, raising clouds of dust and demonstrating its power. The swordsman instantly assumed a fighting stance, preparing to meet the attack of the most dangerous enemy of the level. The blue-haired warrior opened fire on the enemy, trying to distract the monster's furious attention. An ominous aura of death suddenly enveloped the hero, while a mysterious voice from the void predicted his quick and inevitable death. The group moved slowly through the forest thicket, discussing the mysterious and terrifying dying message left by the great Night King. The blonde companion insistently demanded to reveal the true secret of the game, and Zhang Xiao finally decided to tell her the whole truth. Zhang Xiao, barely concealing his intense excitement, honestly admitted to his partner that this virtual reality was a real hell. A sudden, powerful column of fire threw the hero high into the clouds, leaving his astonished companions below in complete stupor. A blinding energy discharge swept over the forest, causing the frightened birds to instantly flee their ruined nests in panic. After an extremely hard landing, Zhang Xiao, with tears in his eyes, felt his badly damaged and smoking butt. Two majestic demonesses in seductive lingerie looked down with cold arrogance at the prostrate and defenseless young man. The hero, pinned to the ground by his foot, listened to a hail of threats as he was demanded to immediately reveal absolutely all the secrets he knew. The black-robed fatal demoness pressed down on Zhang Xiao, trying to find out whether the great king of hell himself had sent him. The white-haired maiden suddenly stopped her friend's rage, sensing the critical state of the wounded hero. Zhang Xiao was growing weak and was painfully aware of the loss of strength in the second-floor prison. The companion realized with horror that the late Night King had secretly cast a deadly curse. The life bar was rapidly emptying as the girl desperately tried to stop the inexorable decline. On the verge of death, the young man saw the ghost of the master, who continued to write the manual for the prison. The awakened magical sign flared brightly, concentrating colossal energy into a single powerful center. From the frosty haze appeared an ancient frost lord with an ice crown on his brow. A mysterious mage in a purple hood summoned furious streams of otherworldly dark flame. The blue-haired warrior with marks on his body prepared a deadly spell for the decisive attack. Zhang Xiao finally assumed the majestic form of the Lord of Hell, unleashing his true power. Zhang Xiao, in the guise of the Lord of Hell, froze in shock from the sudden change in the situation. The golden-haired ghost emperor gleefully predicted the hero's inevitable death within the powerful formation. A dark magical sphere bound Zhang Xiao, surrounded by enemies in the center of an ominous ritual. The Lord realized that the ghostly emperors had risen in open rebellion against his legitimate authority. The white-haired assistant desperately rushed to the defense, demanding that her wounded master be released immediately. The enraged enemy rudely ordered the girl not to dare touch his magical shield. A powerful blast of emerald energy threw her companion back, causing her to cough up blood in pain. Seeing the suffering of his faithful friend, Zhang Xiao furiously demanded an explanation for this atrocity. The hero unleashed colossal dark power, stunning his enemies with the ability to resist the completed formation. The treacherous leader ordered an urgent increase in bloody sacrifices in order to suppress the will of the captive. The tattooed demon coldly opened his veins, sprinkling the ritual ground with his own dark blood. The huge eye in the sky turned crimson under the influence of a powerful blood spell. The golden-haired demon performed a bloody sacrifice by piercing himself to strengthen the magical seal. The furious scarlet rays bound the Lord of Hell tightly, literally tearing his body apart. The masked hero screamed hysterically in unbearable pain, consumed by the merciless flames of the ritual. Suddenly, in the shining whiteness, someone's mysterious gaze appeared, greeting the tormented soul of the young man. Cheng Shou woke up in the endless starry space right in front of his demonic incarnation. The shocked young man realized that he was deep within his own subconscious, next to the Lord. The blonde doppelganger explained that their meeting in the spiritual sea had prevented the eternal sealing. The demon spoke of a rebellion of emperors who refused to recognize authority and obey orders. The Lord said that 3 years ago he served under the supreme ruler of Fengdu. He explained that the shortage of souls on Earth had threatened the stability of Hell. Fengdu appointed him as his successor and created a game to absorb the player's energy. After Fengdu's death, the 4 ghost emperors rose up, wanting to plunder the accumulated yang energy. Zhang Xiao asked why he always ended up here after dying in the game. The Lord pointed out the extremely rare coincidence of their gaming characteristics. 1 in a billion. He admitted that he secretly assigned assistance and provided equipment to protect the young man. The king promised to use a forbidden technique to bring Zhang Xiao back to reality. The hero doubted his own strength, considering himself just an ordinary player in the system. The Lord decided to pass on his memories and unique abilities to continue the battle. A blinding flood of memories and the power of the Lord of Hell suddenly rushed into the young man's mind. Zhang Xiao screamed loudly as the divine energy began to rapidly transform his soul. The fading king strictly ordered the hero to first find the mysterious girl Feng Ying. Zhang Xiao desperately cried out for help, as his consciousness finally left the astral world. A colossal pillar of light pierced the enemy seal, marking the long-awaited return of the true ruler. The hero appeared in full majesty, shattering the barriers of the emperors with his furious and powerful cry. The golden-haired traitor realized in mortal horror that his sworn enemy had managed to escape. The bloodied masked demon panicked and realized that the overlord intended to kill them mercilessly. Zhang Xiao towered over the battlefield, suppressing the rebels with his endless and terrifying might. The Lord of Hell carefully picked up his wounded companion, calling upon all his strength to save her. The henchman ordered the girl to be seized, but a green magical vortex reliably covered her. The rebels realized with annoyance that their important captive had successfully completed the teleportation. The leader ordered the overlord to be sealed before he could regain his strength. Magical scarlet crystals tightly bound the hero, sucking the last of his life out of him. The golden-haired emperor frowned as he looked at the bloody fragment, realizing the fugitive's daring plan. The purple-hooded mage looked forward to the slow destruction of everyone trapped in the game. The enemies feared that the assistant had secretly stolen the server's most valuable internal key. The enraged demon burst into the vault, but found only a ringing void there. The traitors realized the depth of their defeat and the scale of the Lord of Hell's cunning trap. The main enemy froze in amazement, recognizing the brilliant tactical superiority of his enemy. The blue-haired demoness in the cowskin swimsuit collapsed to the ground after receiving a crushing blow from the enemy. The masked blonde desperately resisted as the enemy's powerful hand roughly squeezed her throat. General Destruction harshly interrogated the captive, demanding that she immediately reveal the current location of her faithful servant. Pinned down by a heavy boot, the blue-haired demoness defiantly refused to reveal any important secrets to the enemy. The breathless assistant mockingly declared that the villain would never be able to find Feng Ying. The golden-haired emperor grinned maliciously, confident that the hidden goal would soon appear back on its own. Zhang Xiu returned to the virtual world again to the solemn greeting of the system message. The hero rushed forward with determination, realizing the need to urgently meet with his friends for protection. Zhang Xiao quickly ran through the massive gates, wanting to quickly get to his loyal friends. Both assistant demonesses suddenly appeared in full battle gear, ready to defend their master. The rebel chained Zhang Xiao tightly, deciding to immediately deliver the captive to her emperor. The youth screamed furiously as powerful streams of azure energy suddenly erupted from his body. The devastating blast wave of the magical surge instantly threw both faithful assistants far back. The menacing, ghostly shadow of the true Lord of Hell appeared majestically behind the frightened hero. The white-haired maiden hugged her friend, recognizing her master's ancient defensive technique. Zhang Xiao froze before the colossal projection of the demonic incarnation, finally realizing the power he had gained. The white-haired maiden wept painfully upon learning of the noble self-sacrifice of the former true king of hell. The second assistant cursed the treacherous rebels furiously, choking on unbearable and bitter pain. The hero sincerely asked the girls for support, and they humbly agreed to fulfill his will. The faithful companions resolutely vowed to do absolutely everything to save their new master. Zhang Xiao told his companions to keep a low profile, fearing that his true identity would be revealed too early. The assistants began the transformation process, leaving the confused young man dumbfounded by their provocative appearance. The hero ironically assessed the undressing ritual, admitting that he definitely liked such a spectacle. A hellish abyss opened up before the squad, blazing with crimson heat and frightening in its bottomlessness. The girls froze in horror at the edge of the cliff, realizing that it was impossible to descend safely. The golden-haired demoness, drenched in sweat, declared that the unbearable heat would incinerate anyone in flight. The red-haired cat girl waited painfully for her brother's return, languishing in the scorching heat of the desert. A sudden burst of magic behind the heroine signaled someone's swift and spectacular appearance. The delighted girlfriends pounced on Zhang Xiao with joyful cries, literally knocking him down. The girls pounced on the hero with questions, outraged by his sudden and inexplicable disappearance. Zhang Xiao sternly warned his friends about the extremely dangerous changes in the world. The squad stood in complete confusion on the edge of a terrifying fiery abyss of hell. The blonde warrior listened in shock to her master's frightening and strange revelation. The hero sternly declared that from now on, any carelessness in the game would result in death. The companions anxiously asked the hero about his plans before the decisive battle. Zhang Xiu resolutely vowed to fight to the end, to defend the mission entrusted to him. The assistant's elegant slipper stepped forward confidently, confirming her fidelity to the dangerous oath. The blue-haired demoness defiantly refused to leave the game, deciding to help the hero to the end. The girls bravely prepared for battle against the insidious and powerful ghostly emperors. The red-haired companion smiled excitedly, anticipating the beginning of the most exciting stage of the adventure. The loyal assistant fervently vowed to stay by Zhang Xiao's side forever, ignoring the dangers. The white-haired maiden confidently declared that the memory of the Lord of Hell would lead them to victory. The little heroes rallied together as the mysterious golden-haired warrior silently watched their unity. A skeptical Bao called the allies madmen, doubting their victory over the powerful emperors. A shocked Zhang Xiao looked at Bao silently, taken aback by her sudden genuine concern. The girl sadly admitted that she does not want to see her comrades die in the game. Zhang Xiao was pleased to note the entire team's willingness to fight together until the very end. The heroes resolutely joined hands, sealing their alliance with an unbreakable vow to win the coming battle. A sudden furious roar made Bao shudder in horror at the awakening dark force. The heroes' companions froze in horror above the abyss, realizing the approach of the ancient evil of the depths. Zhang Xiao felt a sense of alarm that something unnatural and frightening had awakened in the abyss. The little demoness bravely descended into the fiery inferno, despite the scorching heat. The young man held the rope confidently, trusting his allies' words about the strength of the magic thread. The assistant overcame her fear for her master's sake, vowing to successfully complete the dangerous mission below. The protagonist comically assured his companions that the situation was completely under his control. The demoness sighed with relief at the lava, having discovered the long-awaited pearls among the hot stones. Precious artifacts shone brightly in the walls of the grotto, beckoning with their magical scarlet light. The girl reached out to the pearl in fascination, feeling its incredible strength and ancient power. The little girl brought back the loot, upset to report that she did not have the required amount of precious stones. The team was horrified to think that their competitors might have overtaken them or died. The little demoness carefully examined the raging fiery whirlpool. The companions suddenly fell down with a piercing scream of horror. A huge fiery explosion instantly filled the entire surrounding space. The friends desperately pulled the magic thread, trying to save their comrade. A colossal, fiery, ancient dragon rose majestically from the lava. Zhang Xiao was stunned by the sudden failure of the game settings. The monster roared in rage, looming over its small, defenseless prey. The hero resolutely shielded his companion, taking the enemy's blow himself. The youth released his hidden power, blocking the onslaught of the fire beast. The girls realized the urgent need to find a powerful water weapon. The ancient dragon roared furiously, meeting the protagonist's determined resistance. The huge beast spewed flames, trying to incinerate the impudent intruders. The magical dome reliably protected the team from the all-consuming fiery whirlwind. The enraged monster continued its attack, trying to crush the hero's protective barrier. Zhang Xiao delivered a crushing blow with his water blade straight at the target. The companions rejoiced joyfully, praising the incredible skill of their young leader. The golden-haired warrior was amazed to realize the hidden power of the seemingly ordinary weapon. The slain dragon crumbled to dust, leaving behind a scattering of pearls. The girls were puzzled as to why the monster had swallowed all these artifacts. Zhang Xiao suddenly realized that the pearls were just a cunning bait. The grotesque official was furiously indignant at the mass escape of the players. The frightened demon ordered his comrade to remain calm in any situation. The little green spirit, in tears, announced the return of the people. The monster made a terrible grimace, realizing the approach of inevitable collapse. Zhang Xiao's squad entered the battle in a sunlit clearing. The blue-haired assistant noticed with alarm the appearance of new annoying ghosts. The young man realized that his opponents had begun to directly control the gameplay. The hero looked forward to meeting Feng Ying soon, smiling slyly. The warrior's path was blocked by a huge and extremely dangerous stone labyrinth. The first assistant, holding a licorice flower, stood frozen in confusion near the rocks. The first assistant with licorice exhaled heavily from extreme fatigue. The girl hid in fear in a narrow stone crevice. Hunters eagerly searched for rare monsters in the dense thickets. The companion anxiously awaited the appearance of the dangerous ghostly emperors. A group of warriors carefully examined the walls of the ancient labyrinth. The bounty on the head of the daring Zhang Xiao was astounding. An image of the blue-haired assistant appeared on a wanted poster. The white-haired girl's face graced the new wanted poster. The announcement of the search for the second companion caused a storm of delight. Golden-haired Bao was also put on a worldwide wanted list. The heroes decided to immediately return to the starting village. The demoness was resting in the cave, hoping for long-awaited peace. A large number of players suddenly gathered at the starting point. The orange official mockingly waited for the bloody battle to begin. The spy humbly reported the loss of Zhang Xiao's squad. The arrogant monster was delighted with the huge savings in gold coins. The giant official noticed strange flashes in the sky with fear. The heroes fell spectacularly from the sky, striking down legions of enemies. A sudden, powerful blow scattered the demons in different directions. The cunning official, in a panic, pressed the button of a hidden trap. Zhang Xiao sternly watched the enemy as he tumbled head over heels into the abyss. The young man resolutely clutched the shining blade, promising not to let the fugitive escape. The team carefully began their descent into the cold depths of the enemy lair. Before the hero's eyes appeared a huge labyrinth, built by a cowardly villain. Zhang Xiao confidently changed his equipment, planning to fight to the bitter end. The cunning official watched the heroes with glee through the monitor system. The squad boldly stepped into the emptiness of the corridors, trusting their young leader. The protagonist grinned slyly, assessing the potential benefit of capturing the enemy. The grotesque monster anticipated victory as he pressed the button to activate the trap. The warriors looked up in alarm, noticing hundreds of falling magic scrolls. The young man deftly caught his falling companion, protecting her from the blow. Bao stood there, confused, in front of the suddenly blocked passage in the labyrinth. Zhang Xiao drew his magic blade, preparing to deliver the decisive blow. The demoness pressed herself against the wall of the rapidly moving corridor in panic. The walls of the ancient labyrinth began to shift frighteningly at the will of the enemy. The hero cut a path through the rock with a powerful swing of his sword. The young man clutched his head in despair because of the insidious trap. The wily official mockingly laughed at the heroes through the monitor screen. Zhang Xiao and her companion barely avoided the falling sharp spires. The labyrinth shook from powerful electrical discharges and magical roar. The enraged enemy furiously pressed the buttons, acknowledging Zhang Xiao's superiority. The monster gleefully activated the trap when the fugitives tried to escape. Heavy slabs began to rapidly converge, blocking the hero's path. Zhang Xiao grabbed his companion tightly, urging her to hold on tighter. The powerful impact of the walls against the barrier caused a blinding flash of light. The heroes realized in horror the mortal threat and their helplessness. With a cry of doom, the partners prepared to meet their imminent death. The captive girl with headphones was found to be tightly bound with scarlet ribbons. The exhausted white-haired companion collapsed motionless onto the cold floor. The golden-haired maiden froze dangerously close to the deadly thorns. Zhang Xiao listened to the empty threats of his frightened opponent with disdain. The young man, with a grin, deprived the demon of his main advantage. The demon fell down in horror, struck by the power of the unexpected guests. The blue-haired warrior sternly demanded an explanation from the captured enemy. Zhang Xiao casually told his puzzled companion about his plan. The labyrinth map revealed to the heroes all the secret passages of the King of Hell. The hero smugly demonstrated his readiness to catch any fugitive. The golden-haired beauty froze, shocked by the incredible insight of her leader. The cowardly demon humbly presented the legendary scarlet cloak of the Phoenix. After accepting the gift, Zhang Xiao ordered the captive to find the desired target. The portrait depicted a beautiful white-haired maiden. The little demon screamed, amazed by Zhang Xiao's incredible insight. Two formidable generals from the emperor himself arrived to take control. The heroes discussed the demon lord's plans to find the fugitive. The group hurried to take cover, following the alarming order of their leader. The mighty warrior struck out, rudely demanding attention from his subordinate. The frightened demon justified himself, declaring that he had not heard the arrival of the masters. Zhang Xiao secretly eavesdropped on the enemy from a tiled rooftop. The companion was seriously afraid that they would be handed over to the arriving generals. The girl noted with alarm the emergence of a new serious problem. Enemies have arrived at the spawn point to begin a large-scale hunt. The blue-haired enemy was gleefully anticipating the imminent reprisal against the heroes. Zhang Xiao ordered his companions to immediately hide from pursuit. The warrior watched the enemy generals with alarm from the roof. The frightened demon convinced his enemies that the girl they needed was not there. The friends realized the seriousness of the raid on all floors of the prison. The Emperor's generals announced the beginning of their mission in captivity. The companions were horrified at the mention of the name of their new master. The demon tried to confuse the pursuers in order to save Zhang Xiao. The enraged warrior vowed to personally deal with his brother's killer. The enemy general threatened Zhang Xiao with retribution for killing his brother. The mighty demon suddenly froze, sensing something was wrong above his head. The heroes held their breath, watching the enemies through the hole in the roof. The companions panicked when they realized that their careless noise had been heard. The enraged warrior rushed into the attack, destroying everything around him. Only a single leaf flew past the wary demon on the roof. The barrier reliably hid the fugitives from the penetrating gaze of the generals below. The generals hastened to continue their search for Zhang Xiao in the abyss of the Styx. The blue-skinned sadist promised the captive 18 types of the most terrible tortures. The pursuers left, anticipating a generous reward for capturing the dangerous player. The formidable general warned the demon of the severe consequences of a mistake. Multicolored rays of energy suddenly pierced the clear sky. The frightened soldier collapsed to the floor at the hero's feet. Zhang Xiao demanded to know the reason for the demon's unexpected loyalty. The demon warden confessed to secretly changing the prison's settings. The bound captives in the cage awaited their fate in horror. The demon obediently agreed to lead the group to the desired goal. The heroes discovered a secret back exit from the danger zone. The team rushed to rescue the captive before the enemy generals arrived. The fugitives carefully made their way through the grounds of the ancient estate. The demons hidden in the dense bushes approvingly greeted the arrival of Zhang Xiao's squad. The demon guide pointed out to the heroes the incredible difficulties of searching in the rocky gorge. The companion caught up with Zhang Xiao in a desperate hurry, afraid of getting lost forever along the way. The young man made an imperious gesture to warn the team not to frighten the cautious Feng Yin. The warriors resolutely rushed deeper into the canyon, following their adopted sister. The companion acknowledged with alarm the undeniable fear of all demons before Zhang Xiao's power. The girl recalled with deep bitterness her shameful betrayal in the previous battle. The golden-haired warrior firmly swore to faithfully help the hero until the very end. The wounded Feng Yin recovered her strength while in a cocoon of shining healing light. The heroes cheerfully and kindly made fun of the embarrassed maid, who timidly hid her face. The white-haired maiden realized that the hunters knew her name. The grinning enemy suddenly discovered the refuge of his frightened companion. The aggressor struck with a swift blow while the girl screamed in horror. Zhang Xiao blocked the attack in time, protecting his companion with his sword. The rescued beauty looked with admiration at her sudden protector. The young man noted with relief that he had managed to prevent a tragedy. The blonde demon furiously demanded that Zhang Xiao return his brother's life. Zhang Xiao dodged the blow in time, shielding his companion with his body. With a sharp movement, the young man handed the white-haired girl over to his ally. The blue-haired assistant picked up her friend, promising to protect her from danger. A group of armed raiders suddenly attacked the heroes from the cliff tops. A series of powerful explosions instantly scattered the attackers in different directions. The blue-haired warrior fell rapidly while her ally covered her from above. The girls launched a decisive offensive, sweeping away all opponents in their path. The massive warrior crashed to the ground, causing a devastating shockwave. The ferocious enemy made a sharp leap towards his defenseless white-haired companion. The golden-haired warrior moved her companion to the safe top of a high cliff. Zhang Xiao grinned mockingly at the hapless enemy's sword stuck in the stone. The blonde ordered the hero to immediately take the wounded girl away from the battlefield. A group of armed traders blocked the only exit from the narrow gorge. Zhang Xiao was furious and realized that their situation was becoming hopeless. A former ally sarcastically remarked that Zhang Xiao was having a good time. The defender called for an end to personal quarrels for the sake of the survival of the entire detachment. The warrior bravely took the volley of arrows, shielding her weakened friend. The traders mockingly reminded the heroes of their shared past as a team. The girl shuddered as she saw the bloody marks of the killers above the heads of her enemies. The former leader shamefully left the top of the world player rankings. The crowd viciously branded him trash and a pathetic cheater. The traitor was madly thirsty for power for the sake of revenge and greatness. The demon of destruction suddenly blocked the path of the weakened heroes. The monster cynically offered the traitor a deal for absolute power. A fierce enemy demanded that the defenseless white-haired girl be given to him. Zhang Xiao desperately warned of the mortal danger of this world. An ominous darkness completely consumed the mind of the broken traitor. The madman rejoiced, having acquired terrifying demonic power for the sake of victory. The warrior realized with horror the final fall of her comrade. A traitor driven by madness proclaimed himself the true king of this world. The powerful demon roughly grabbed the arm of his resisting white-haired companion. The golden-haired warrior expressed deep contempt for the enemy who had lost his dignity. The girl resolutely pointed her bow at the traitor, demanding that he stop his nonsense. Magical fetters suddenly restricted the movements of the young archer in the midst of battle. The warrior issued a bold challenge, unafraid of the enemy's increased strength. A furious fire tornado completely engulfed the fighters at the epicenter of the explosion. At the last moment, the defender threw her friend away from the kill zone. Blinded by rage, the traitor cursed the girl who was in his way with hatred. Zhang Xiao slammed the traitor's head into the rocky ground with a powerful movement. The blue-haired demon swiftly attacked Zhang Xiao from above. The young man calmly blocked the powerful sword strike of the mysterious opponent. A huge ghostly hand suddenly loomed over the frightened girls. The blonde companion was thrown back by magical energy during the fight. The mighty general of destruction demonstrated his overwhelming dark power. The blue-haired warrior tried in vain to save her friend who was falling into the abyss. Zhang Xiao, in a rage, ordered the enemies to immediately release the girl. Two demonic warriors joined forces against the exhausted heroes. The system revealed the terrifying characteristics of a level 33 general. Another level 34 general appeared before the hero's eyes. Zhang Xiao activated the Overlord's gaze to analyze the enemy's characteristics. The blonde demon launched a furious spinning attack with his sword. The young man calmly intercepted the predictable movement of his mysterious opponent. The hero delivered a series of crushing counterattacks against the demonic general. The enemy was stunned by the sudden seizure of initiative by an ordinary player. Shangsho made a lightning-fast attack through the monster's defense. The precise swing of the blade heavily struck the arrogant demon warrior. The wounded generals retreated, realizing the true superiority of their enemy. The demon began to rapidly absorb other people's energy for healing. Sinister dark fetters suddenly bound all of the hero's companions. Zhang Xiao felt a sudden drain of his energy from an unknown force. The demon leader took on a new form, clad in massive dark armor. The mighty enemy announced the start of the second round, preparing to finally crush the hero. The young man realized with horror that this monster had no vulnerabilities. The demon slammed a giant ghostly blade down onto the ground, causing a monstrous explosion. A destructive wave of crimson energy literally split the surface of the rocky gorge. The arrogant general mockingly demonstrated the superiority of the 40th level's strength over a mortal. Zhang Xiao quickly struck the talkative villain, reminding him of the fatality of unnecessary words. The hero crossed his arms, activating the power of the ancient artifact for a decisive turning point. The shocked general, in a panic, did not recognize the mysterious object that appeared before him. Two ghostly protectors suddenly appeared to turn the tide of battle. The tattooed maiden dealt a crushing blow to the armored enemy. The shining warrior unleashed all her might on the demon. Zhang Xiao attacked with all his might, losing the rest of his health. The demonic general roared in pain, losing control of his power. A powerful burst of energy scattered the hero's companions in different directions. The girls collapsed, unable to withstand the monstrous pressure of the dark aura. The hero selflessly rushed through the zone of action of the deadly technology. Magic rings bound the space around the frozen youth. An azure dome covered the enemies, completely cutting off their escape route. The distraught general predicted the hero's imminent death for his self-sacrifice. Zhang Xiao grinned cheekily, issuing a final challenge to the treacherous enemy. The young man decided to summon the forbidden power of the god of the underworld. The enraged monster attacked the silent hero, thirsting for a quick reprisal. A huge shadow of a true deity appeared behind Zhang Xiao. The ferocious enemy was stunned by the magnitude of the awakened ancient power. The demon's dark blade instantly shattered under the pressure of the divine aura. The summoned spirit dealt a crushing blow, driving the general into the ground. The hero's two companions suddenly soared into the shining starry abyss. A blinding explosion of darkness marked the fall of the last stronghold of the demons. The enemy realized that the Lord of Hell had survived and rushed to report. The dark entity ordered that the fleeing Zhang Xiao be stopped immediately. A huge black sphere in the sky announced the arrival of the emperor. The girl had a nightmare about being abandoned and alone. The white-haired companion lay unconscious, wounded in a brutal battle. Zhang Xiao respectfully addressed the majestic spirit hovering in the sky. The assistant was amazed that the Lord entrusted all his power to the young man. The girls swore to take revenge on their enemies and help the new ruler of Hell. Zhang Xiao learned of the heir's ability to absorb the souls of fallen enemies. The tiny spirit required quite a bit of regular feeding to grow in strength. The white-haired companion was amazed to recognize the young man as her true master. Zhang Xiao asked to be called by his name, maintaining his humanity. The girl blushed embarrassedly at the kind words of her new leader. The companion noticed the similarity between the smiles of the young man and the ancient Lord of Hell. The heroine was completely at a loss, feeling the warmth emanating from Zhang Xiao. A mysterious key emerged from the void and was entrusted to the hero for safekeeping. The ancient armor glowed ominously, sensing the return of its true owner. The little warrior solemnly presented the hero with a valuable relic that had been guarded for years. Zhang Xiao struggled to hold the red-hot artifact, overwhelmed by its power. The blue-haired assistant narrowed her eyes suspiciously, trying to unravel her comrade's thoughts. Zhang Xiao recalled the ghost warriors back to the artifacts. The hero ordered his companion to take the form of an ordinary player. The girl enveloped herself in a magical glow to change her appearance. A flash of light hid the transformation of the beautiful demoness. The assistant took on the appearance of a charming archer in a new outfit. The young man enthusiastically approved of his companion's spectacular transformation. The orange know-it-all reluctantly emerged from his stone crevice. The small spirit laid out a difficult route through Misty Canyon. Zhang Xiao furiously shook the orange monster out of the shortest path. The frightened guide drew a diagram of a safe passage through the labyrinth. The companion doubted the possibility of conquering the smooth rocks without using special force. Zhang Xiao concentrated on asking the orange spirit about the identity of the mysterious water maiden. The young man clutched his head in resignation, recognizing the inevitability of contact with the unpleasant person. The hero discussed the enemy's abilities with his blonde assistant, not seeing her as a threat. The dangerous mermaid gracefully circled in the depths, preparing to greet the uninvited guests. The squad reached the lower reaches of the celestial rivers, discussing the suspicious absence of enemy scouts. The heroes walked carefully along the narrow ridge, surrounded by endless and frighteningly quiet water. The girl with cat ears froze in horror when she noticed something strange underwater. Mysterious mermaids glided majestically through the azure depths of the water, hiding their plans. The stunned heroine froze on the stones, realizing the imminence of a meeting with the legendary people. Zhang Xiao stood confidently on the edge of the cliff in front of the endless expanse of water. The young man loudly demanded an audience with the powerful holy maiden of the heavenly river. The companions watched in amazement as the stormy waters majestically parted before them. The charming mermaids lined up in a row, inviting the uninvited guests to follow. Zhang Xiao politely thanked the sea maidens for opening the way into the depths. The embarrassed hero apologized to the mermaids, enjoying their unexpectedly warm welcome. The frightened sea creatures ran away in panic, escaping from the persistent attention. The hero's companions discussed the strange method of moving through obstacles with bewilderment. The demoness, wearing her new equipment, was terrifyingly looking forward to testing her increased power. Zhang Xiao was completely captivated by the caresses and attention of the beautiful mermaids. Zhang Xiao fell headlong through the roaring fiery whirlwind into the sea abyss. The young man fell painfully onto the rocks, leaving behind only a smoking trail. The blue-haired companion defiantly demonstrated the magical flame, pleased with her success. A squad of demonic beauties grouped on the shore, preparing for a new stage of the journey. Zhang Xiao ironically called on the hidden enemy to stop playing games and finally come out. A menacing laughter echoed across the sea as an island rose majestically from the waves. The temptress languidly licked her lips, anticipating a meeting with an interesting young man. The hero froze before the colossal mermaid, whose grandeur overwhelmed him with its power. The mermaid coquettishly considered the young man's request, putting forward her secret conditions. The giantess mysteriously hinted at a problem that only a real man could solve. The giant mermaid languidly offered Zhang Xiao to descend into the abyss and help. The hero readily agreed to dive into the depths, despite the anxiety of his companions. A huge hand suddenly grabbed the young man while the giantess laughed at his gaiety. A massive pink tail churned up the water, carrying the protagonist into the depths of the sea. Zhang Xiao dived underwater inside the shell, suspecting the mermaid of deception. The young man grinned cheekily inwardly, urging his opponent to prepare for the inevitable consequences. The Lord of Hell descended into the underwater chambers, accepting the honorable invitation of the Mistress of the Sea. A luxurious bedchamber, shining with pearls and soft pink silk, opened before the hero. The puzzled guy hung in the middle of the room, not understanding the strange request to lie down. The temptress began to undress, complaining of loneliness and anticipating a long night. Zhang Xiao humbly agreed to help, preparing for the mermaid's strange request. The young man lay down on the bed relaxed, deciding to do without any unnecessary changes of clothes. The Lord of Hell froze under the canopy, awaiting the actions of the insidious mistress of the chambers. The mermaid, with a mad grin, declared her right to do whatever she wanted. The cunning maiden suddenly attacked, releasing a blinding stream of magical energy. The stunned hero felt a deadly spell begin to thicken around him. The villainess looked forward to absorbing Zhang Xiao's spiritual power, loudly chanting her success. The boy found himself trapped in a sphere of water, surrounded by many sharp spikes. The enraged mermaid prepared to deliver the finishing blow with her powerful tail. Zhang Xiao felt the crushing power of the 9 heavenly rivers. A blinding flash of blue energy suddenly tore through the underwater darkness. The giant mermaid laughed mockingly, showing off her sharp demonic fangs. Zhang Xiao stood motionless inside the shining sphere above the coral palace. An ancient magical symbol has bound the movements of the insidious mistress of the sea depths. The enormous shadow of the Lord of Hell gripped the tiny mermaid in its palm. The young man watched the enemy's panic with carefree eyes, revealing his true form. The hero summoned a massive artifact, preparing to finally crush the enemy's will. The defeated mermaid humbly begged for mercy, bowing before her new master. Zhang Xiao clenched his fist resolutely, drawing in the power of the 9 heavenly rivers. The dark entity swallowed the golden pearl, completing the triumphant subjugation of the water element. The defeated maiden wept bitterly, realizing the crushing loss of her dignity. Zhang Xiao watched with satisfaction as the Hell Lord's increased power materialized. The companions on the shore anxiously discussed the unknown, waiting for a sign from under the water. A powerful splash suddenly interrupted the painful wait of the girls, frozen in amazement. The young man emerged triumphantly to the surface, riding the subdued and shamed mermaid. The huge maiden obediently led the squad through the waves to distant shores. Zhang Xiao ironically cut off the questions, reminding them of the dangers of excessive curiosity. The spoiled mermaid obediently transported the hero's companions, acknowledging his absolute power. A colossal waterfall appeared before the traveler's eyes, blocking the path upward. The mermaid resolutely rushed up the steep stream of the heavenly river. The companions clutched at each other in panic as they fell precipitously. The inaccessible peak of the mountain was hidden in the clouds, frightening with its enormous height. The exhausted mermaid admitted that she could not continue climbing due to her heavy load. The sea giant fell down, losing her last passengers in the turbulent current. Zhang Xiao deftly threw the magic lasso, calling on his allies to remain calm. The luminous thread securely tied the falling girls into a single rescue knot. The magical noose tightened tightly around the sharp peak, stopping the deadly flight. The rescued squad landed safely on solid ground, rejoicing at their miraculous deliverance. The exhausted mermaid fell heavily to the ground, having completely lost her former arrogance. Zhang Xiao sat down tiredly on the rocks, briefly summing up the difficulty of the completed climb. Zhang Xiao looked around the mysterious labyrinth with a puzzled expression, trying to find a trace of the invisible boss. The defeated sea giantess was rapidly shrinking under the influence of powerful magical spells. The young man carefully held the tiny mermaid, making her his new faithful pet. Zhang Xiao received a strange video message that made him seriously wary for a moment. The enraged spirit warned of an investigation and the hero's inevitable return to hell. The hero discussed with his assistant the Phantom Emperor's daring interference in their affairs. The anxious companions doubted the success of the mission after a series of such dangerous battles. Zhang Xiao grinned slyly, deciding to force the elusive boss to show up to them first. The exhausted players wandered through the labyrinth for a long time, trying in vain to find the hidden enemy. The exhausted players froze as the bold challenge echoed throughout the labyrinth. Zhang Xiao brazenly shouted insults into the megaphone, surrounded by furious flames. The companions watched the noisy provocation with skepticism, doubting the success of the plan. The hero smiled slyly as he discussed the details of the trap for the enemy with his assistant. The earth shook and the mountains split open, releasing streams of ominous green energy. A headless giant, engulfed in ghostly emerald flame, rose from the rift. Zhang Xiao frowned as he realized the appearance of the beast released by the Eastern Demon Emperor. The colossal warrior crushed the labyrinth, causing the smaller players to run away in terror. The giant worm fell instantly, losing all its strength under the crushing blow. The headless demon greedily consumed the souls of his enemies, demanding more and more fresh energy. The girls realized in horror that the battlefield had turned into a bloody meat grinder. The companion accused the emperors of the mad release of the ancient gods for profit. The monster sealed in the abyss filled Zhang Xiao with an undisguised primal fear. The demons wreaked havoc for centuries until King Yama pacified them. Zhang Xiao was enraged by the emperor's vile betrayal for their own selfish purposes. The giant shook the earth violently, demanding that the worthless enemies fight immediately. A bright flash of destructive energy instantly scattered heavy debris throughout the area. The frightened girls huddled tightly, trying to survive the powerful and dangerous shockwave. The young man realized his own weakness in the face of such an ancient god of carnage. The demon silently walked to the edge of the cliff, under the extremely anxious gazes of the captives. The headless warrior began to suck the life force from the defenseless mermaid people. The little mermaid spirit tearfully begged for the salvation of her vanishing clan. The white-haired companion ordered her allies to immediately distract the formidable enemy. The ancient god ignored the arrows, anticipating the imminent absorption of soul energy. The friends realized in horror that they were hopelessly too late to stop the giant's jump. Zhang Xiao mockingly called out to the enemy, calling him a headless bald slave. The mighty demon froze on the edge of the waterfall from such a brazen insult. The enemy was extremely surprised by the unexpected appearance of the Yama King on the battlefield. The young man confirmed his identity and challenged the monster to a second duel. A furious green fire flared in the demon's eyes at the sight of the enemy. The god of slaughter unleashed a deadly blow, ordering Zhang Xiao to prepare for death. The companions desperately held the barrier under the relentless, powerful onslaught of the enemy. The shockwave mercilessly hurled the allies within their shimmering sphere. Zhang Xiao swooped down, ordering the girls to retreat immediately. The young man fearlessly attacked the giant, ignoring the complete lack of chances. The hero deftly jumped over the rubble, continuing to provoke the huge enemy. The massive demon staggered from the sudden impact of the heavy stone blocks. The god of carnage laughed eerily as he prepared his deadly energy pike. A devastating blast of dark magic split the earth into deep cracks. Zhang Xiao's gaze flared with azure flames before making a decisive move. The enormous rocks began to rapidly close together, obeying the will of the young ruler. Zhang Xiao decided to take the blow himself to protect his allies. The young man lured the giant into the gorge, mockingly calling on him to catch up with him. The companions were completely perplexed as to where exactly the hero was taking the dangerous enemy. The spider spirit revealed to her allies the details of the cunning battle plan transmitted by their master. The companions looked at Zhang Xiao's new little assistant with extreme amazement. Zhang Xiao teased the demon, easily dodging its clumsy and furious attacks. Blinded by rage, the monster searched in confusion for its target, which had suddenly disappeared from sight. The hero clutched the teleportation talisman, fearing that his allies would not be ready for the next stage. A bright flash of a signal flare in the sky announced the beginning of the decisive stage. The young man again challenged his enemy, inviting him to finally take his revenge. The young man successfully avoided the magical cuts by maneuvering between the high cliffs of the gorge. The allies launched a coordinated offensive while the enemy prepared its powerful counterattack. A girl with a machine gun loaded a smoke shell, waiting for the order to begin the assault. A powerful pink volley blinded the giant, causing him to roar in confusion and pain. The magical fetters firmly bound the enemy's limbs, completely blocking his heavy steps. The team of allies swooped down, unleashing a hail of precise and sudden arrows on the monster. The companions attacked the defeated god of carnage in unison, not giving him a single chance. The warriors delivered a deadly crossblow straight into the vulnerable center of the enemy's chest. The sorceress deployed a magical trap, preparing to finally capture the enraged and weakened enemy. A spatial shift tore apart reality, completely engulfing the fallen and immobilized ancient god. The hero pointed to the enemy's vulnerable eyes, and the warrior immediately attacked them. A powerful explosion shook the battlefield, marking the long-awaited victory over the demon. A pillar of emerald energy soared into the sky, finally dispelling the remnants of the enemy aura. The young man carefully picked up his wounded companion, trying to soften her fall to the ground. The companions huddled together in exhaustion, having survived the most difficult test of the battle. Zhang Xiao leaned over his ally in alarm, realizing the severity of her wounds. The maddened giant tore out his own eye, trying to escape the deadly trap. The god of carnage rose from the ashes, vowing never to make another fatal mistake. The demon's huge foot came crashing down, nearly crushing the hero. The monster gripped Zhang Xiao tightly in its fist, eliminating any possibility of escape. The huge demon furiously squeezed the young man in his fist, wanting to crush him. Zhang Xiao boldly declared to the enemy that he would soon be resurrected after death. The god of carnage opened his mouth wide, preparing to bite off the hero's head immediately. The captive youth desperately called for help from the beautiful queen of the mermaid people. A majestic mermaid appeared in the radiance, responding to the call of her master. The mermaid queen comically admitted her own weakness in land battles. The hero pierced a bolt of blue lightning straight into the palm of the stunned giant. The mermaid prepared a powerful burst of magic, frightening the ancient god with her appearance. The queen's strength began to rapidly decline, causing her great anxiety. The young lord entered the monster's body, preparing to destroy it from the inside. The assistant, in awe, recognized in him the awakened god of the underworld. The giant monster, falling apart, indignantly refused to accept defeat. The figures flew rapidly over the deserted canyon towards the battle site. A powerful stream of blue energy struck the target, sealing the resisting spirit. The majestic King Qingguang finally found his long-awaited target. The giant armored avatar fully materialized, holding its human host in the palm of its hand. The warrior gripped the shaft of a deadly scythe tightly, glowing with an ominous green light. Floating in the void, Zhang Xiao began to gratefully absorb the surrounding souls. The desperate demon prepared to rip open his own stomach just to stop the enemy. The sorceress activated a powerful time dilation spell to immobilize the enemy. The heroes were relieved to realize that they had survived the powerful explosion and remained unharmed. The companions noted with extreme amazement the sudden increase in their gaming characteristics. Zhang Xiao calmly considered the tactics for climbing to the next floor as quickly as possible. The girls joyfully announced the successful discovery of a secret path to the new zone. The demonic opponent sensed a frighteningly familiar aura and instantly froze in a daze. The team rushed towards the glowing portal, trying to avoid a collision with a formidable pursuer. The golden-haired warrior prepared to detain the enemy, disregarding her own safety. The enraged King Qingguang called the hero's attempts to escape a pointless and pathetic stunt. The squad fell into a stupor, realizing the monstrous superiority of the enemy at level 99. Zhang Xiao forcibly restrained his companion from making a suicidal attack on the powerful master. The heroes fell rapidly into the abyss through a distorted and unstable portal. The enraged King Qingguang promised that the fugitives would not be able to escape. Inside the spatial corridor, Zhang Xiao saw the fatal destruction of the path. The team was scattered across the digital dimension amidst chaotic flashes. The girls panicked and tried unsuccessfully to grab onto each other. The blue-haired companion screamed desperately, watching Zhang Xiao fly away. The protagonist ordered the allies to meet at the foot of Mount Buzhou. A bright explosion of energy in the sky marked the final closure of the portal. The warrior's figure quickly fell into the eerie radiance of the Iron Tree Hell. The young man landed with a heavy thud on the hard ground of an unfamiliar location. Zhang Xiao cursed King Qingguang in frustration for the failure of his escape plan. A fierce, fanged demon suddenly appeared in front of the young man sitting on the ground. Two thrown axes instantly killed the monster with a dull thud. The young man activated the stat hiding feature, deciding to pretend to be a weak newbie. The group of warriors were surprised by the appearance of a weak player in such a dangerous area. A player in strange armor suggested using a rare teleportation scroll. Zhang Xiao politely asked his new acquaintances for directions to Mount Buzhou. The hero feigned complete bewilderment at the mention of the great gaming guilds. The companions arrogantly called the young man too weak for the elite squads. The boy explained the guild's strict requirements for escorting players in hell. Zhang Xiao was stunned as he remembered Lu Zifeng stuck in a coma in the real world. A formidable blonde with a spear proudly represented the elite guild Dragonfang. The master in the scarlet dress embodied the power of the second great faction, the Demon Blade. The third alliance, Windforest Fire Mountain, was led by a majestic and beautiful maiden in gold. 3 powerful alliances have completely blocked all roads to the final boss. The young man indignantly called the guild's brazen tax collection pure banditry. The satellite spoke with admiration about the millions of dollars in wealth of the leaders of these factions. The demonic boy became angry at the hero's daring attempt to find the legendary master. Zhang Xiao seriously wondered if the great player was his friend. The hero arranged a meeting with his faithful companions in the starting city via a magical message. In the starting city of Iron Tree Hell, barkers were actively recruiting new members to the guilds. The boy mockingly remarked that with such a level, a hero would only be taken into the worst squad. The crowd was excited, joyfully welcoming the arrival of an influential master named Cheng in the city. The players, dressed in ridiculous costumes, began to clean up in panic as they noticed the approach of an important person. The servants hastily rolled out a long red carpet right in the middle of the dirty street. The charming purple-haired companion smiled tenderly, anticipating the appearance of her leader. The girl in the rabbit costume clung devotedly to the master's leg, expressing complete submission. The vain master reflected contentedly on his relationship with the head of the Dragonfang Guild. The smug dandy walked languidly across the carpet, pretending to complain about the excessive attention of the fans. Blinded by fanaticism, followers admired the beauty of their idol and offered to clean his shoes. Zhang Xiao ironically noted the excessive modesty of the pompous master on the red carpet. The players obsequiously offered the rich man Chen the rarest animal cores in order to join. The arrogant dandy told the newcomer to wait for news about his admission to the Dragon's Fang. Zhang Xiao watched with disdain as the strong players were humiliated by the lowly ones. The rich master was indescribably furious when he heard the hero's brazen insult. The young man mockingly ridiculed his opponent's low level, calling him pure trash. An enraged Chung ordered the crowd to kill the insolent man for a place in the elite guild. Blinded by the thirst for profit, the henchmen rushed furiously at the calm young man with shouts. The hero saw the attack as an excellent chance to attract the attention of the Dragonfang leaders. Cheng Xiu erupted with a powerful blue aura, preparing to crush the attackers with one blow. Zhang Xiao dodged all the attacks with lightning speed, turning into an elusive blue flash for his enemies. The hero grabbed Master Cheng's face with an iron grip, instantly stopping any attempt at resistance. One crushing punch to the face made the rich man forget his arrogance forever. Having flown back shamefully, the defeated Cheng crashed his body through the nearby shopping arcades. A cloud of dust and flying splinters marked the final collapse of the smug and deceitful leader of the crowd. Zhang Xiao mockingly advised the beaten opponent to quickly go home and complain to his mother. Shocked eyewitnesses, horrified, predicted that the daredevil would face brutal reprisals at the hands of an influential elite guild. The young man boldly suggested that the entire speechless crowd attack him at once, wanting to end the fight as quickly as possible. The humiliated Chung continued to shout threats, while the terrified maid tried to stop the bleeding and bandage the wounds. Zhang Xiao waited patiently for the promised reinforcements, demonstrating his undeniable and complete superiority to everyone present. The companions happily welcomed Zhang Xiao back to the original city. The girls were amazed at his low level, but the hero ordered them to play along. Zhang Xiao whispered to his assistant that he was deliberately bluffing his enemies. A bright pillar of light marked the arrival of the elite fighters of the Dragonfang Guild. The crowd scattered in terror as they saw the powerful and dangerous masters approaching. The stern level 34 marksman stood arrogantly before the frozen youth. The mighty spearman Saber-Toothed Tiger looked around the crowd mockingly, demonstrating his strength. Level 37. Silver Officer Gauss inspired awe in all players. The humiliated rich man demanded that the officer immediately kill this weak newcomer. The formidable officer confirmed the hero's words, calling the rich man a real and useless noob. The humiliated rich man threatened to call his brother and kick everyone out of the guild. The sudden rumble made Zhang Xiao look around warily at the source of the noise. Officer Gauss pinned the braggart to the ground, cutting off his pitiful cries. The angry officer called the rich man trash that even the boss couldn't stand. Gauss accused the young man of provoking a fight with a member of his guild. Zhang Xiao mockingly suggested that the officer move from words to action. The master offered the hero a duel to the death with the loss of all available equipment. The system has recorded an official challenge to a duel from a high-level Gauss officer. Zhang Xiao accepted the challenge, and his allies instantly prepared for battle. The Dragonfang team put up their shields, demonstrating their full combat readiness. The system started a 3-minute preparation timer before the decisive battle in the digital arena began. The golden-haired warrior boldly thrust the massive blade into the ground, refusing to wait any longer. Zhang Xiao concentrated on giving instructions to his companions, urging them to suppress the enemy riflemen. The blue-haired assistant fearlessly stepped forward, preparing to hold back the furious onslaught of the enemy spearmen. The armored enemy, with an evil grin, demanded that the young man finally reveal the true level. The protagonist dropped his false disguise, revealing his true rank of 36 to his enemies. The blue-haired warrior mockingly promised her opponents that very soon they would experience true horror. The enemy squad burst into contemptuous laughter, considering Zhang Xiao's demonstrated level to be insignificant. The enemy leader in golden armor coldly predicted the hero's imminent and inevitable end. The trio of enemies rushed into the attack with fury, trying to destroy the team with one crushing blow. Zhang Xiao accepted Gauss's challenge, confirming his knowledge of his plans to end the fight. Gauss crossed his arms, declaring that his task was merely to delay the enemy. The young man flinched when sharp amber barriers suddenly appeared in front of him. An amber crystal bound both fighters, rendering them incapable of action for 3 minutes. The dark-haired warrior cried out the hero's name in despair, noticing the impending threat. The opponent urged the girl to take care of herself, launching a rapid attack in the duel. Having drawn her shining sword, the heroine doubted the enemy's ability to defeat her. A series of powerful blows shook the girl's body, rapidly depleting her health bar. The white-haired archer attacked her target unsuccessfully, lamenting the enemy's absolute invulnerability. The armored shooter confirmed the lack of damage, causing his partner to suspect cheating. The enemy grinned slyly, activating the skill of complete invulnerability to any oncoming attacks. Zhang Xiao realized that the enemy's tactical advantage threatened the death of his ally. The dark-haired warrior was amazed at the massive damage despite the enemy's basic attack being weakened. The hero ordered Xiao Luo not to be distracted and to concentrate all his efforts on the tiger. The saber-toothed enemy sped up, declaring that it was too late for any salvation. The girl barely had time to notice the golden flash, struck by the incredible speed of the enemy's attack. The powerful blow sent the defender flying backwards, critically reducing her vital energy level. The wounded assistant, in despair, admitted that she was completely unable to keep up with the enemy's movements. The enemy arrogantly reminded that in the face of absolute speed, any brute force is useless. Zhang Xiao angrily promised to destroy everyone once he removed the restrictive seal. The enemy with a spear arrogantly suggested that the exhausted girl surrender immediately. The assistant began coughing from the pain, unable to contain the onslaught. The enemy became angry, accusing the heroine of inappropriately mocking his strength. Through her agony, the girl grabbed the enemy's weapon tightly, blocking any further attack. The white-haired Xiao Ying cried out in excitement as she watched her friend's desperate risk. The wounded ally furiously croaked out an order to immediately finish off the enemy. The assistant accepted the command and drew the string of the magic bow to attack. A hail of arrows rained down on the area, ignoring any defense of the terrified enemy. Zhang Xiao and his ally watched in shock as the skill's power was activated. The surrounded fighter in blue armor raised his weapon, trying to repel the imminent threat. The mysterious violet-haired girl smiled confidently, anticipating the coming triumph in battle. A powerful energy pillar engulfed the opponents, marking the birth of Yang Xiaoluo's devastating technique.